I was doing what you call the gagging part. Now, before anybody says anything, I did it with my own voice. I didn't suck on nothing. I just said that.
Charlie and Pim are not Dumb and Dumber. This is a different kind of comedy duo. I was wondering where he came up with them as a comedy duo and their personalities.
What he said in the show, in my opinion, is a Rorschach test. Whatever the worst thing you could think of is, if that's offensive, that's in your head, that's your fault. Yeah, so you're
nothing to do with us.
You're basically Mr. Frog. Yeah, I didn't say anything. The point of the show was just to not make anybody even think. The show doesn't think it's making a statement. The show isn't trying to change the world. It's just trying to be funny.
That's why we're being like a bit like hard on ourselves on it. It's like even if we get cancelled after this or whatever, like at least we can be proud of one season. That was
and we had the same logic with the pilot, and I think we will continue to have that mentality if we do more episodes.
Hey, welcome to the Create Unknown, the home of Make Something Mean Something. I am Kevin Lieber. It is TCU Night Tuesdays, TCU's Days. We are here every single Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Eastern, live on Discord. And tonight we are here for a monumental episode we've been looking forward to for very, very, very long time. Isn't that right, Matthew Tabor?
Yeah, we've got literally hundreds of people here live in the audio. It's amazing. We've never had so many people. And that's really the case because there's been a tremendous amount of hype. Hype is an extremely delicate thing. Anybody who's ever actually used a Nintendo Power Glove felt the disappointment radiate from their fingertips right into their soul. And most of us saw our Twitter timelines turn into a collective suicide watch after the buildup and letdown of Cyberpunk 2077. Over the last 3 years, PsychicPebbles and Michael Cusack have let us in on the process of Smiling Friends, from the idea stage to this month's full first season drop. And along the way, all of the communities that we're involved with, literally all of them, not just the Create Unknown, counted the seconds until they could watch Pim and Charlie regularly. We saw the excitement build over the pilot and then explode after the announcement that Adult Swim was moving ahead with a series. And we weren't worried about that hype. But we've also spent a whole lot of time talking to creators about what happens when production companies, studios, and networks get involved in a creative project. It makes people like Meat Canyon and Senor Pelo go rogue, and they've got valid reasons for doing it that way. We've probed the dangerous minds of the friends adjacent, Hans Van Harken on writing, Brendan Caulfield on music, and now here we are. We've got Pim and Charlie and Alan and Glep and Mr. Boss and Shrimp and Mr. Frog and Mip and Smormoo and more bliblies than we can handle. Smiling Friends is everything we hoped it would be and more. We've got 100 questions from patrons and 1,000 of our own, but we want to start by asking about what we haven't seen. Mr. Boss's nipple was pixelated during the most uncomfortable suckling scene ever drawn. What's something that had to be cut altogether?
Oh, that's
gosh.
a great question. Oh, that's
a
good
good
question.
the intro, by the way. That was a great intro.
Yeah, that was amazing.
What about the dolphin scene, Zach? Should we talk about that?
That was from the pilot. That was more time. Yeah, there's a lot of weird, like, lost media, because that ended up kind of coming back in a weird... Yeah, there was a scene in the pilot.
We used elements of it, definitely.
Yeah, there was a scene... I mean, there's two ways to kind of categorize stuff that was cut. One was just for time, and I would say literally every single episode... I think it was literally every single episode we had to cut stuff, like jokes or moments or things like that. Yeah. It wasn't substantial, but yeah,
it was good. Cutting the fat was good too because it was like
it's good exercise.
Yeah, it was like a challenge and it made it funnier, I think.
Yeah, and also the way we look at that is, well, that can be stuff that we do in other episodes. If it's a really strong idea and you had to cut it and you come back and revisit it like a year later or 6 months later, you're still laughing, you're still finding what was amusing about it in the first place. Those ideas will stay. And then sometimes you cut something and you look at it, you go, okay, I'm glad that was cut. But in terms of what was cut, in the pilot, this is more for writing stuff. Originally, the way it played out was, I think we moved like 2 scenes around, but originally it was like they go to Daveland, we have the montage. I think we cut back to
we didn't
the
have
Alan
them,
thing.
Yeah, well, was it just there was no such thing as being outside Daveland. They went to the beach to the dolphins.
That scene about the sun is just going to explode, all that shit. That happened in a different scene. Basically, it was like after the montage, when we cut back from the Alan B story, there was, in the current version, they cut back and they're ending Daveland, which makes it feel like they were there all day. But in the original draft, Pim still gets depressed at the end of Daveland. Before that, we cut back, and instead of going to the end of Daveland where we have it now, they're at a beach, and there's like a bunch of dead dolphins around, like a big oil spill.
There was an oil spill from a big tanker, yeah.
Yeah, and the whole idea was, and Pim is like fully really depressed this time. There wasn't one where he kind of became depressed, where like in the pilot where he kind of looks down like that, where he breaks. It was like essentially the implication was, like I think originally Desmond or Charlie, one of the two characters says like, well, we took you to the monster truck show and like the pinwheel factory. Basically, it was the original idea was they just go to Daveland. They went to like 20 other things. And we got a note that basically said, well, this scene feels kind of like it's repetitive. You should combine the beat of, as they call it, of this scene, which is Pim gets sad. We combine that. So that's one way. And in terms of the actual rest of the series, there was a few things we had to cut because of S&P, not because of Adult Swim. S&P is a different, like, I think it's technically part of the whole thing, but they're basically the people that come in and say
practices.
Standards and practices, yeah, and they basically just come in and they're the fun police. And if you have anything that's funny or slightly a good idea, they'll come in and want to change it.
They're usually against gore, like brain matter, like that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You can do like violence in these kind of like animation shows for Adult Swim, but as soon as they're like, is pink brain matter, that's when they're like, oh, you can't do that, so you just change the color. Doesn't make sense. Specific organs, like you can't show like it, and people like, we say this and people go, well, what about like this show or this show that definitely showed that? We said the exact same thing. Yeah, we don't know, we have no idea.
We don't know.
Like, why did they get away with it?
I'm sure there's a million things behind it.
It's all about like negotiations. It's like, and then like, the times changed too. Like 10 years ago, you could do more smoking in shows. Like now they're really hard on smoking and vaping. We had a big, the whole vape scene with Satan in the Christmas episode. That was a battle to get just that shot.
Well, and originally, two things. Number one, you're exactly right. They said cut it completely. They wanted it they said make it something else. Don't even make it vaping. They said make that But by the way, this is where we're animating the fucking episode. So we're like, we literally can't do that. And it came down to this thing where, we won't get too much into it, but we basically just said we can't. We're not going to change it. We can't. It makes sense. And also, it's kind of an anti-vaping message in the episode.
The compromise too was to make the smoke like red and like look a little bit mystical. And we're like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. And then they're like, okay, you can do it. We're like, all right. Like the compromise was just so simple in the end.
What did they want it changed to instead of vaping?
They didn't have a pitch. They just want it removed. And it's like, dude, it's part of the story. It's like Charlie's supposed to be seeing himself in the Devlin. It was like,
well, that's what I was also going to touch on. Was actually originally, and I think it's gone completely. But in that original, at the start of the episode, we tried to really mirror as much as we could. Tried to mirror, basically what the two are doing, so that Charlie essentially sees himself in Satan. That was the whole idea. So, but anyways, at the beginning of the episode, when he takes the drink of that Monster Energy drink, originally he takes a hit off a vape pen that was the same exact model as what Satan has. So, but by the time we had won the other battle with the vape, we just said it was just over. Yeah.
That was the point. He was supposed to see the vape and be like, oh, like that's really like me. Like it, he's looking at himself in the mirror. But that's all right. Yeah. That's okay. We got the Satan vape in there at least, which was the last battle we had.
Two more quick little things for you is that I can remember off the top of my head was DJ Spit, his pubes. Oh, yeah. He originally had pubic.
He did have pubes.
Graphic. Nothing graphic.
It was just normal. Yeah.
It was nothing horribly. Okay, so I'm looking at the chat here for people that are listening to this later. I'm watching live, and somebody just posted a GIF. If you look where you can see that little pelvic mark, he had hair. Yeah. Kind of just little curly. I mean,
just peeking out.
Yeah,
just peeking out like it normally
saying,
would.
Hey.
And he was fully. But the thing is, he was fully 100% animated. Like everything you're seeing there, that was animated.
Yeah. Someone had to go in and erase every frame where there's pubes. Like
they shaved him. They shaved his pubes.
They did, and I don't think it was on a separate layer. It was it's like the cross, I think, is all in one layer. So
I would actually love to know who that was. If someone could post about that.
Identify yourself. Step forward from the police line. Who? Yeah.
Because what real hero of Smiling Friends.
It happened so late, but if we had like an extra 2 weeks on that episode, I would have loved tongue in cheek to have credited that person as pube remover, pube censor. It's like when Stalin removed that guard; it never existed. But and then the final little thing we had to remove was in Simon S. Salty, the murder mystery episode. There's that where they're doing every character. Without spoiling it, every character, I think everyone's seen it by now, on kimcartoon.com fucking
His 123.com on Pirate Bay.
GorillaVid.xyz.de. Yeah, but anyways, but episode 5, the salty episode, Mustard, when she's telling her story, it cuts to her performing fellatio on Mr. Salty, and originally we had basically something pretty similar to what Charlie's grandma does in the last episode. Just a sucking
sound.
Just a nice sucking noise. And her head was supposed to go up and down on ones. And what that means for non-animators, basically just literally, there's 24 frames in a second, and it was going to just be
extremely quick. Extremely quick.
Like other moments in the show. So it's just supposed to be her going, basically the joke to us was she's sucking him impossibly fast. It's not like a realistic.
It's so physically possible.
It's not realistic where he's going suck me. It's supposed to be like
machine gun.
Like you took a cocksucking robot and just hacked it. So anyways,
and they said no. They said you're not allowed to do that. I'm sorry.
And they said okay,
but that's how mustards do it. Everybody knows that, right?
I know. And
I thought that.
We tried to
that
tell
was
them
also
that.
to us that's well. As the audience, you're going, oh, I get it. Maybe she is innocent. Maybe she's not. Didn't do anything bad. But anyhow,
at least we got his voice going. Oh, we got the moaning from Perry himself, which was very nice.
But
the raw footage,
the mustard on ones, they said you can't do this.
Can't do it.
Well, they did a piece. They did salami tactics. They did it piece by. They didn't just fully.
Salami tactics.
First, it was little strategy bits. So first, it was the head going up and down. They didn't want, and then we're like, can we keep the sucking sound? Yeah. But then later, no, you can't have the sucking sound. And they removed it. They removed it without telling us. They told the mixer to get rid of it. It was very sneaky.
Oh no! Now that is censorship.
Well, this is basically 1984. If you really think of it. If you really think of it, the mustard's sucking the real man's penis until orgasm. They take it out.
That's right. That's right. That's what this podcast is about. How to be funny in this day and age, guys. And
that's exactly right.
I really want your insight into this with the censorship of mustard blowjobs and everything that's going on these days.
Just be silly. Just don't take anything seriously. Just have fun. Be as silly as possible.
Wait, so but how did they allow the grandma with the lollipop, which I must tell you is Matt's favorite thing that he's ever seen since the Mr. Boss breastfeeding thing?
Because that's innuendo, I guess.
Yeah.
She was actually sucking a man's penis. The mustard was sucking a penis, while that lollipop's not a real sexual thing. That's genuinely how we got away with it.
From though? Yeah. I mean, who made that sound? That's another thing that
we asked Brendan, and he said he didn't do it.
No, Zach,
we begged him. We begged Brendan, who, by the way, I just have to say very quickly also,
by the way,
shout out.
So I was just going to quickly say, I was doing the sort of chic sound of that, but Zach, you were doing the, so it was a
you'd have to go rat me out. I was doing the gagging, what you call the gagging part. Now, before anybody says anything, I did it with my own voice. I didn't suck on nothing. I just said that, and I just basically went, and then that was sped up and looped. But sorry, I didn't.
But anyway, sorry. No, you go. Shout out.
But I was going to say, Brendan, who is here, and Hans, and a few other people. We begged Brendan, and he sent us some takes, and he actually was sucking on it. He sent us videos of sucking on a thing. We just nothing negative or nothing. And we just said, it's not the machinist. You don't got to go full method actor, man. But he's a method.
So he tried to Foley it, and
he
tried.
Like no. He really tried. No,
it just wasn't usable. It was not.
No.
The thought was
you don't understand.
Was it too realistic?
The look in his eye in the video, he wasn't joking. It was like the Ring video. I just felt like
also,
this.
I've known Brendan for what, 12, over 10 years. Since we were just young kids, and I've never seen that face before in my life ever.
Here's the fucked up thing, Michael. If I could just add, you knew him since he was yay big, and you said that video wasn't even like him.
No, it was a different person. It was like a demonic entity had stepped into his body, and he wasn't the Brendan I knew.
Well, you ever hear the phrase "the lights are up but no one's home"?
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, I've heard that phrase. Yeah. I've heard it.
I think it's the exactly lollipop's in and nobody's home now.
Yeah, But yeah, so that was a composite of me. But Brendan did do a lot of the weird.
Brendan was all across the music and even sound effects mixed with music, and then we had another great guy called Keith Thomas. Keith Thomas, who did the mix for the whole thing. Yeah, I almost said the same thing, Zach.
It's the only Keith I know.
Yeah, who also did the sound mixing stuff. So those two were the audio stars of Smiling Friends for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I go back to the dead dolphins real quick?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
please.
Yes, please.
So, because we kind of glossed over this. So, was the idea that the saddest place you could put Pim at the saddest moment was on a beach covered in oil slathered dead dolphins? Was that
Exactly,
the idea?
exactly
when I
right.
think of Pim, like he loves animals.
Exactly.
Like, he's a very
yeah.
he that would be Pim's worst nightmare. So I think like killing like a beautiful dolphin and having oil ruin the environment, like Pim would actually be very depressed from that. So I was just thinking like in those kind of terms.
Like, yeah, what's the worst thing we can end on? But basically, and actually, one of the dolphins, the way it was dead, the way it was drawn dead by Michael in the first episode, I just loved the way his mouth was open. It was just so funny. And we got to episode, we got to episode
Frog
2,
episode.
the Mr. Frog one. We just said, why don't we just, that's going to go into the void forever unless we.
Is it possible to leak this drawing somehow?
Yeah. In fact,
Oh, that dolphin's in the Mr. Frog episode. So that's a little artifact from that dolphin scene. You can, if you freeze frame, you'll see it when Charlie says, "And you've even got a beautiful animal sanctuary."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so a little
Okay.
small
it's in
trivia
there,
there.
but I bet I can even find quickly
the actual thing.
just a screenshot. I think we kept calling it the dolphin. Oh, we have to cut the dolphin scene. Oh, the dolphin scene. Here we go. Yeah, I found it.
Link it later.
Yeah. Without holding this up too much, I'll just post it in the chat, and people can. And I'm sure you can find this online somewhere if you're listening 50 years from now.
Are we allowed to post that?
Yeah, you can sue us. There you go.
Guess it's out there now.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, no, it's just a
Have fun.
JPEG. Yeah, have fun. Yeah, throw it around the
matter.
message boards. Yeah,
If
yeah.
our
But anyways,
careers go down because of that, then I'm
That's
happy.
what took us
That's
down.
fine.
That was
the
it.
The dolphin took us down. The
I
dolphin
like
JPEG.
that it's just simply labeled dolphins.
Yeah.
It's just
That
called
was-
dolphins.
C9, the dolphin scene. We kept the dolphins, man. Dolphin.
Oh my God, it's already got 17,000 upvotes on Reddit.
I'm gonna be
Oh,
sick.
jeez.
See, if you want a
There goes
season 2, that
season 2.
ain't happening.
No.
Hey, if you even
Ruined.
look at that image, it ain't happening now because it's your fault because you looked at the image, and you need to know that before you do anything else.
Can I ask like a higher level question about the show that I'm interested in hearing your guys' perspective on? So when it comes to comedy duos, that is a really old idea, going back to Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello. You have kind of like the strong one and like the dumber one. And then even like later on, you have this like Dumb and Dumber trope with Beavis and Butthead, Ren and Stimpy. Charlie and Pim are not Dumb and Dumber. Like, you guys didn't just kind of take that idea and, put your own twist on it. This is a different kind of comedy duo that I can't think of another duo that has this same dynamic. Now, obviously, they have sort of opposite personas, which makes them a great comedy duo. Sort of like the optimist and the pessimist, or like the idealist and the realist. But just thinking back on kind of like the history of comedy duos, this seems new to me. And I was wondering where you came up with that, where you came up with them as a comedy duo and their personalities.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, you go, Zach.
Well, I mean, all I was going to say was, I think like the way that we try to like formulate stuff, the way we find it to be easy is just taking a singular character and then building a, like, okay, well, you have one character. Like, I think we had Pim first. And we said, well, like, basically, we literally just said, like, what is the funniest or most interesting person to oppose this? So it started off kind of roughly as, like you mentioned, like, optimist and kind of, like, I think one of the first drawings we had of the characters roughly as they were was Charlie with those angry eyebrows and Pim smiling. And it's like, okay, he's not always angry. He's kind of moved away from that to be a little more complex. Both of them have. But I think when it became, it broke out of that, I think a little bit, was when Michael and I were having lunch one time, and we cracked this. So we had one, we were eating at a chicken place. We cracked basically, what does the company do? We cracked that in that dinner. And we also we said, let's just like use our basically, not exactly our real voices, but essentially, so that it feels a little bit more real. And I think, it was always funny to us, but one thing I didn't see at all was people connecting to it more. Like, we always view it as more of a comedy lens thing, but I think a result of that was people saying, oh, they feel really real. Like I feel like I know people like this, or you know what I mean? And so I think that is kind of, I think that's the strength of it. We at the beginning of it, we purely focused on that as a comedy aspect, the realistic back and forth and feeling like they're real characters. But I think as a result, it rounded them a little bit more, and they're not just like walking cliches or something, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when Zach and I used to improv, like exactly what Zach said when we're at that chicken place and we like finalized and we got it right with like what the concept of the show is and what the characters are, and we decided, just like talking naturally is like really funny, and we haven't seen that before in animation. And Zach, everyone knows, like Zach says this kind of stuff, like his just like basically stuff Charlie says, like a good example is the Renaissance Men thing, the improv in the Frowning Friends episode. Like that was just Zach. We were trying to come up with how that would play, and Zach just said, like, it was so late at night, and Zach was like, oh, the Renaissance Men, and I, as me, not as Pim, was like, what's that? What are the Renaissance Men? Like genuinely asking. He's like, it says they're coming into town. I was like, what are the Renaissance Men? And then you're like, oh no, this should just be it. Like what we're saying right now. So that's kind of like it was very organic coming up with the characters, and same with like writing too. Like,
so that was an actual conversation that you guys had?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And the reason why I say it like that is without giving too much backstory. That episode was the biggest nightmare of any of the episodes, and I think the fact that it turned out people like it a lot. That episode, it was like 2 a.m. and Michael was still in Australia at this point. It's 2 a.m. where it's late where he is, and we're just on Skype going, how do we fucking end the episode? We had no idea. And this is while we're boarding the episode, and there was a moment where it was just like, this is either going to be the bad one or we just have to get it,
so
we're
not
going to make it.
So stressful. It was awful.
It was the most stressful one. But out of that pure like agony, I think originally it was going to be, because I think the original opening was going to be to show that it's boring, like it's a slow day at the office. And I think originally the improv back and forth was Charlie looking at his phone. It basically looked and played the same, but instead of the Renaissance Men, it was Charlie going, "Hey, have you seen this news about Enceladus, this moon?" Yeah,
and Pim's just like, "No, well, I haven't seen what happened."
Oh yeah, man, it just says here that it's like they. So I'm reading right here, and it says they flew a thing like a spaceship. You know what I mean, like a spaceship through the plume.
Yeah, I know what a spaceship is.
They found water. I think, or like the
really?
or like so.
They actually found water?
No, it wasn't like water, but it was like something. I don't even remember the full thing.
All right.
I mean, it was like that. It was basically just boring, and we were like, "That's funny," and it was really a part of something that we're interested in, but it didn't connect to anything.
No.
And we said, "Well, it'd be good if that boring." Because the point of that scene was just to show it's a slow day.
We thought it'd be good if it came back at the end somehow. You couldn't bring that back at the end like the Renaissance Men thing now.
Yeah, and I think the dummy version of that was they're talking about a satellite. Oh, like if you see that Russian satellite's falling.
Oh, yeah, completely.
And then originally the satellite was going to come smash the Frowning Friends, and then that came out. But anyway, the reason why I say all of that is just because that episode specifically, we don't have to go into that much unless you guys have any questions, but that episode specifically was like the biggest hell nightmare. And if Pim and Charlie were voiced by actors, Michael and I were just writing it, we would have had to have made them come back in
and read over and over again.
Yeah, that's another reason why we said, well, it'd be great to voice the main characters so we could just go in literally at 2 a.m. That's why Charlie's
exactly
voice sounds...
what happened. Which is exactly...
Yeah, that is what happened over and over. But,
wait, go.
Were you going to say
that's
why Charlie's voice sounds what? Sorry, what were we going to say, Zach?
Oh, I was just going to say the simple observation. That's why if you listen to that the Renaissance Man, Charlie's voice is a little bit more straight because it's like 2 a.m. You can hear it if you go back and listen to it with the knowledge of that. I don't think anybody noticed.
Which
it just actually works for them.
I don't agree with, by the way. I think I do not. I think that's in your head.
I'm not even saying it in a bad way, and I think it works. It works because he sounds bored, like 5% more bored. But my point is, if you go back and listen to that and watch that episode, just know that it was too long. First of all, it was like 13 minutes long or something fucking crazy. It was the longest one by far.
Yeah, that was. We didn't think we could do it. We're like, we can't cut 2 minutes out of this. It's impossible.
Yeah, and there was just figuring out. And Hans came in. And he helped us, and we did a big call, and we thought of a few things. We went away, and it was literally something where Michael and I just said for like a week, we just kept coming back to it and sitting on it. And
I remember my storyboard artist for the show, for that episode, Michael Dockery, was in the other room. Well, he was cleaning up a lot of the designs, And like Zach, we were on like a call trying to end it, and he was coming in being like, oh, "What do I do?" Like, and we were like, "I don't know. Like, just give us like 10 more minutes, and we'll like record something. We'll record it." And he's like, "I got no work to do." And then like I remember like that same moment, like he was like, "Can you just at least, Michael, can you come in here and do like the dance for fucking like the peanut, like when he puts his hands to the camera, like little peanut chick. Like I did the filming for that for Michael Dockery, and then like put my hands in the thing. The thing ran back to you to like write. That was one of the most schizophrenic Smiling Friends days ever.
It was pure stress. I mean, so like some of it, not all of it. A lot of it was very fun, but man, specifically that was scary because imagine someone coming to you going, "Okay, you guys wanted a cartoon. Good, you did it. Okay, now you have like this day to turn it in, and you can't go beyond that. And there's no ending or beginning, and it's too long. Everybody's going, what do I do?" But I'm a believer that things like that make stuff better. Like I think out of that that pressure, I don't know if it's a diamond, but I think it made something that wouldn't have been like that if we had 6 months or a year to just kind of meander. If that came out of like actual pure pressure.
It definitely made it more interesting. Like I think the whole episode has that DNA in it because even DJ Spitz, like, "Get out of my head," and like when like the tooth guy turns into a tooth, that was from the same stress of like it was like all kind of like built into it, like how fucking stressed we were with that.
Yeah, that whole middle part of the whole episode of the guy trying to get to the other guy, that wasn't in the original script. I think originally they go to the tooth guy first, because it was like, oh, we'll make a normal guy first, then a little bit crazy guy second, and then basically up the ante every new scene. But and that was another thing. Yeah, just we were editing the audio of the episode, and we just said, well, let's just try to flip these two things around and put temp in, and and out of that we got I think one of my favorite jokes. Yeah, but I don't know how much we'll get out of talking about this, but yeah.
Put down your can of Hyper Hydro Monster and your Crimson Berry White Claw. It's time to rethink the beverages in your life. We drink a tremendous amount of tea, working on videos, recording the podcast, but we don't drink normie NPC tea. We drink cultured and refined anime tea from the Dragon's Treasure. They've got a gunpowder green tea called Space Cowboy. If you've listened to this podcast before, you know why Kevin likes it. And I used to chew gunpowder green tea leaves when I played baseball in the 90s. I love the stuff. Dragonwell Z, Samurai Chai Plu, black teas, herbals. The Dragon's Treasure describes itself as a haven for anime and tea lovers for a reason. They've even got a tea called Uwu. It's got apple bits and cocoa nibs. It's crazy. I bought the 60 tea sampler pack as soon as I could. I wanted to try everything. It's that good. And when you order from the Dragon's Treasure using the code CREATE, you'll get 10% off your order. That's 10% off using the code CREATE at thedragonstreasure.com. The link's in the description. Look, find me another place that sells Russian caravan tea with a name like, "And then everything changed when the Fire Nation attacked." You can't. Thedragonstreasure.com, 10% off when you enter the code CREATE at checkout. The link's in the description below. Get brewing, Space Cowboys. You said something about the crunch being a really beneficial thing. Now, we're going to do a bunch of questions at the end here, but if somebody's asked one that is directly related to something you're saying, I'm going to throw that in. And Triple Question Mark had one about this. His channel is excellent, by the way. We'll pop that in the description. You got to check this out. But he mentioned that creativity is really built on restrictions of all kinds. And sometimes you encounter them and you get things, whether it's an outside censor or a time limit or just anything like that. But are there any restrictions that you guys put on yourselves during the creative process?
Restrictions.
That's interesting.
I don't know if we consciously
I wouldn't say restrictions, but we definitely... We tried our absolute hardest with every ounce of energy we had to make the episodes good. I'm positive. I am positive that not one of the episodes was like a first draft. Like every fucking episode was rewritten. And again, people might watch it and just laugh or not laugh. So they might hear what are you talking about? But man, we would just sit down and go how do we make every joke? We'd reread the script and just go, how do we make this funny? So it wasn't really a restriction, but there was definitely rules. It's got to be funny. How do we improve this? How do we enhance this? How do we make this work more? And we were just obsessed with that. And we still are. We say to ourselves all the time. If we do more, we want it to be better. We
beat
want
ourselves. We want
to beat ourselves. We want everything to get as and I'm not saying that's gonna happen every time, but that was in our head. That was the goal, and
we had the psychology going into it that it was going to be hell too. Or like, okay, all right, we know, like, we've got the ideas, we're confident in them, like, but it means nothing if it's not a good show. Like, anyone can come up with good ideas. So it was like all of last year, like all of 2021, we were just like, all right, this is going to be just like really like hard, like, and it was, and we just knew like there was going to be a time when it was over. So just knowing that, like, there were days when we both were just like, oh fuck, like so over it, especially like how Zach was saying, like the Frowning Friends episode was a nightmare, and other, there was other problems too. But I really do think that added to it, and we knew it at the time, but it was still hard. But we'd have little, I guess, conversations about that, like, oh, we're in the middle of this, and it's like really like hard, and it's like, oh no, that means that's a good sign. That means like the pressure's there, and that's usually how you make good stuff. So I think that was how we went into it, and I think it came out well too.
Were there any episodes that were easier? That weren't a nightmare, that just kind of went smooth, or was it varying degrees of nightmare?
No, really.
It was degrees. I mean, it was degrees. I would say the easiest ones, the easiest ones to write were the ones where we knew what the character was. Like we had the character of Mr. Frog. I don't think people know this. We had the character of Mr. Frog before we had Pim and Charlie. He predates them.
Yeah, he was the first I think he was like the first Smiling Friends drawing ever too.
Yeah. He actually, Mr. Frog and the Bliblies.
We're gonna find that
both
somewhere.
of them. Yeah, there's a doc somewhere where we just would literally, where Michael would make a flash document and just draw stuff, and we were sharing. This is when we were first trying to just think of what the show was going to be.
That was almost like a joke. That was again like the Frowning Friends. We're just like, down. We're like, oh, what about this? This should be a show. And then
it also
I do that little yellow thing next to it, and then I didn't even think of it as a bug, and you were like, wait, is that a bug? And I was like, no, and then you're like, oh, put legs on it and like wings, and it became a bug. I don't know what it was before. It was just like a yellow.
It was a little blob thing. Yeah, it was just staying next to him. Yeah, and then it became, and he just started going, "Hello, I'm Mr. Frog, I'm a bug." And it was all right, we have to put that. We have to put that somewhere.
We're just like, well, like this will be what the actual show will make. Like, hello, I eat the bug. Like, hello, I love you. It's like that can't be a show. Adam Ployan rightly said, and I'm going to say it on the record. Rightly said, no, only you have to be drunk or high to like that. What are you doing? That sucks. And he was right. Like because Zach, like we laugh about that now, but we were pitching that like just that was the show.
Like that was the show. That couldn't have been the show.
No, of course
not. I think the way we made it work, I think, is that okay? Well, that couldn't be the show, but what if that is the show in the world?
In the show, it's kind of like the Terrence and Phillip thing, like it's
or the crust, the
stupider version of the show.
Yeah, this is the in-world.
We had a question about Mr. Frog that was so pressing that it came in 11 days ago. So Andy has been waiting 11 days for an answer to this. He wants to know what Mr. Frog said on Jimmy Fallon.
Oh my God.
The part that, it was, censored out, obviously,
right.
But is there any indication of kind of
no.
what
No. What I did was I just went like, because we needed it at the end, so we couldn't, like, I couldn't just say like, oh, those filthy, I couldn't, like just say nothing. So I just went, like, just did it at this end.
But
to make it sound like
he actually.
No, you can't say that. But it's so evil. It's too evil.
What he said in the show, in my opinion, is a Rorschach test. Like whatever the specific person watching it thinks in their head is the worst fucking thing their head could conjure up is what he said. So
that's why it went on so long too, because it's like, oh, it can't even be one word. It's like a mix of so many words. It was like a spell, like a curse or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a Rorschach test. Yeah, so whatever you, the audience, that could be a million different things. It could be about a million different topics. It's whatever the most offensive, horrible, awful, gut-wrenching, sickening thing you could think of.
It even offends like the worst people in the world. Like it even offends racists. It offends
anybody.
Disgusting people.
It offends
the best people too. It offends just 100% of the whole.
It
world.
offends 100%. And the beautiful thing is, if whatever the worst thing you could think of is, if that's offensive, that's in your head. That's your fault.
Yeah,
so
you're nothing to do with us.
You're basically Mr. Frog. Yeah, I didn't say anything. Okay. I just need to say this because people have been so curious, and it's like I actually want to. So first of all, any fool out there that believe those fucking screenshots, that is not real. But this is the truth. We were going to get Chris Chan. We were 100%. He was on our list. We had him on our list. He was going to voice originally the Grease Puddle from the Salty episode, and he was supposed to just have 2 lines. He was supposed to just go, "I could have done it," I'm Grease. I could have done it. And then, Charlie goes, okay, well, did you do it? He goes, no, but I could have. And he says something at the end. But anyways, so that's what it was going to be. This is before all the fun stuff that's happened recently, all the recent developments. This is before this. But so the reason he ended up getting cut was not even because of anything that happened. It was because we said, look, okay, we want this person to do the grease puddle. But you need to contact this person when it's all animated, because if you tell them now, they're gonna go on Twitter and go, I was just in the cartoon.
I was just approached by Hollywood, and now I'm
exactly. So he said, here's what we'll do. We'll do it like very, very, very. We'll lip sync it, because I am so obsessed with that Shrek reanimated thing that where somebody took his drawings. Forgive me for not knowing who the animator was who put that whole thing together. But yeah, they took his drawings for the Shrek part and the voices. And I was like, that is genius. I would watch a whole movie like that where it's Chris Chan's stuff and you're seeing the drawings and you're seeing.
He's not a bad voice actor either. He's actually got a pretty good.
I know. That's what I loved about
interesting
that.
voice.
I'm obsessed with that. Oh, is it Shrek? Oh, really? From Shrek? Well, so anyways, so we said that. We said, look, put this voice in very last. It's just a couple lines. And they actually, our production people came to us and said, well, look, there's like rules that say you can't just get somebody to do like a one-line cameo. You could do that, but you can only do it like once or twice. But they said, well, look, we've already done the Chills cameo. We can't do that twice just for budgetary reasons. If we get this person, they're going to have to be in like 2 other episodes and do other characters. We're like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand. Like, it doesn't work. It's not funny that way. So, it literally just ended up being like a budget thing. It had nothing to do with anything. But yeah, that was going to be the grease puddle. And Harry Partridge jumped in last minute. We just said, can you just do like roughly a Christian, just roughly, I could have done it. And so that finally, the Chris Chan question's been answered. That's the lore behind all of that. You look at that drawing that the gentleman posted there. Look, that is genius.
Zach, did you get that idea because of that video you were obsessed with? You mentioned on an earlier episode we did together where his dad walks in on him.
Well,
and yells at him.
Yeah, that too. I've been obsessed with that video. I quote that probably once every
80 times a day.
Wait, what?
The health department of Greene County see those videos.
It's like a tick I've developed now. Where I go, do you realize something? If the health department of Greene County sees those videos, they could condemn our house, and we'd have to move out of it. I'm working on it. You better work on it. You upload it. You better unload it. I think about that video daily. I'm not kidding. It's so weird. It's so bizarre. But I love it.
That's the same voice, though. I'm working on it, and I could have done it. That's the same voice.
Oh yeah. I would have died for that grease puddle to have been voiced by Chris Chan. But
all the nasty stuff came out just when we were about to get him.
Now maybe we don't even answer this, but do you think we would have left the voice in if that? Because I'm thinking, if you got Charles Manson before he did anything to just play a song,
I understand. I'd be pretty morally against it. I think I'd probably get rid of him.
But do you know what I mean? No, but like, okay, you get Charles Manson.
No, I know exactly. We talked about this. We exactly when it happened. We're like, if we had him, would we got rid of him? I don't know, but. It depends how good it was.
It depends how funny it is. But
if it's funny, it wins. Wins.
I understand the moral arguments. I have to say, I'm hyper aware of the moral arguments against using a man.
I don't even think what Charles Manson did was as bad. I don't even think that's a good comp. No. Charles Manson just kind of convinced some hippies to murder some people.
Charles Manson would have been shocked. You would have gone, that's too far.
He would have cupped his mouth. He would have put his hands over his mouth.
Oh my God. I'm gonna be sick. I need to sit down.
Did you link you to his friends? Did you
give me some water. I'm gonna pass out. I'm getting light. Give me some water now.
It's just getting the vapors.
Usually it's so easy to have a sense of what's coming next. What you're gonna ask about and whatever. No, that's hopeless here. How do we follow that up?
I don't know. I think just go straight to like a missionary position question about smiling friends. That's
We're ready for it.
A palate cleanser of sorts.
Yeah, a palate cleanser.
Is that right?
Here's one. That was something that I hadn't seen anybody talk about. I'm sure there's some Smiling Friends Reddit that's already solved this question, but in the Enchanted Forest episode, you have, the Lord of the Rings character in the Ralph Bakshi style. I know that Harry Partridge did that animation for that, which is absolutely amazing. The question is, Mip, is Pim backwards? Right? Why did you name? Why did you do that? Why is his name?
It's because Pim's supposed to be jealous of him because he's so similar. He's like the ultimate Pim.
He's the better Pim.
Pim would kill to be
Pim. It's like basically like, oh, Charlie actually loves this. Like Charlie is just head over here. For some reason, this character's lame, but Charlie basically everything that Pim has ever wanted. Charlie, like I know that's awesome, man. Like
Pim's not just jealous of the actual questing. He's jealous that Charlie's falling in love with this little character.
Yeah. I feel like, and also just because it's stupid, because like, just because it's dumb, just because it makes us laugh. But yes, I've seen people say like, I've seen the episode a few times. I only just now realized that, but there's not like a deeper like lore to it. Like it's not like it's just dumb, but also that really. And also he's got the one hair sticking up off his head, so he is supposed to be like Pim's replacement. It should. Pim feels like
Pim wishes he was. He was a fantasy little character.
Yeah, and also, when Mip first meets him, he says, "You never do a witch quest." So he's also knowledgeable. He knows all the right. Mip has all the Enchanted Forest knowledge, and I think that's also why Pim gets kind of driven crazy by it.
He goes, "I hate you."
I think he does say that. I think that's an exact quote, right?
Scene 6, scene 7.
Scene 6 minutes 20.
It's just
there's that moment
Dolphin.
with Charlie and Mip that there's a little bit of tension. What could have happened if Mip had survived? Where does that go?
Well, again, this feels like a cop-out answer, but I mean it. It's the Rorschach test. Whatever your mind, however your mind can imagine those bodies tangled together, is I guess what could have happened.
That would have been a lovely scene. Maybe we can pay that off somewhere.
That's in the movie. That's in the movie. He comes back.
Yeah.
We
comes
do
back. Mip's at the door. Hello, Charlie.
Hello, hi, back, Charlie.
You should come back.
Would you come on in?
Hello.
I'll get you some water. You want some water?
Got some unfinished business.
We have some unfinished business, Mr. Charlie.
Why is your voice different, Mr.
Mip? What about the memes, guys? You seeing the memes? You're liking the memes?
I'm loving the memes. I'm on Instagram. I'm sharing the memes. I'm actually getting annoying now. I think I'm posting too much Smiling Friends stuff on my Instagram story.
Oh, how dare you?
Slow down that a bit. But I do love the silly memes. I genuinely actually really like them. There's some funny
same.
ones.
Some of them are so fucking creative with the lighting stuff. There's a lot of anime ones, and I've got to be honest, I've seen maybe like 6 in my life, but I like them. There's a lot of effort put into them. The few that I've gotten,
I love it's always the thing you wouldn't expect. Like I was thinking, like, oh, what could be a meme, and then like the whole Charlie talking to Mip, like, Pim, we can't help this guy. Like I would have never have thought about that. I can't believe how big that one specifically has gotten.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, but I just love the creativity behind it. Even like the fan art, like, just seeing how people interpret the characters.
It's been really, really great to see. I've never seen anything like it. Like my card, like Damon and Darren had like probably like 2 pieces of fan art. So this has been insane. Seeing how much stuff there is.
I love. By the way, I love the Nothing But Trouble reference.
That movie, of course, you know that movie.
That movie is a fucking trip, man.
Of course, you know that movie. If no one says, if anybody listening hasn't seen Nothing But Trouble,
please.
Starring Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd. I believe it was written and directed by Dan Aykroyd. It was just one shot at making a movie, and it was so bad he never got to make another movie again.
Exactly right. That is exactly right. Dan Aykroyd. Oh, actually, you want another fun piece of trivia? Quick one. I am obsessed with Dan Aykroyd, and so is Michael, and I am a hyper obsessed. Specifically, for years, I've been fucking obsessed with that video of him explaining Crystal Head vodka, and he comes out talking about his product to a regular customer, potentially to investors, and he says something about how witches and aliens, he talks about UFOs and their inhabitants. That's the exact phrasing he uses, UFOs and their inhabitants. And for some reason...
I still don't understand. Is it a bit, or does he genuinely believe it?
No, he means it.
No.
I've seen so many interviews. He means it.
His whole family were like ghost hunters or something. That's where Ghostbusters came from.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, but why was he normal? So was he never normal? Was he always like that?
Yeah,
was he
I'll tell you why. Because dude, I've seen probably most Dan Aykroyd interviews because of that. There's an interview of him on Johnny Carson when Ghostbusters came out, and this is him, when he's like 40 years old or 30 something. He's a young guy. This is in the 80s, and they're asking questions, and Dan Aykroyd starts very sincerely going on a rant about how spirits and ghosts are real, and the audience doesn't know if he's fucking with them or not, but he's complete. Yeah, that's it. And Bill Murray's just they're kind of brushing him off a little bit, but he really, his dad, I think, his grandfather was like a famous like Canadian like medium or something.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the issue with him. With me, it seems like he has like a childlike. It seems like he's playing when he's talking about this stuff. It doesn't seem like it's like genuinely causing him like anxiety, or I don't see him being scared of being abducted when he's like in his bed at night. Like it feels like he's kind of lying a little bit just because to play along with the bit. That's how I feel.
I think it's just because he thinks it's fun. Like if you listen to the Joe Rogan podcast with him, it's kind of uncomfortable because he's getting pushback when he's talking about Mothman, and he believes in literally every single thing you can name. He doesn't believe in
Mothman.
He fucking believes in Mothman, dude. He believes in Mothman.
See, that's what makes me think he's kind of just pushing it for the how far can I go until people are like, dude, shut up.
So you think it is a bit? I think maybe I think he thinks it's like funny, like cool. He thinks it's like interesting.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry. The small anecdote of all of that was the Halloween episode. We really, really, really wanted to get Dan Aykroyd for the opening live action and outro part where that guy comes in, who by the way did a great job. I think did like a better job than we could have expected. But that was kind of written for Dan Aykroyd and also Norm Macdonald, who we didn't know.
Was that would have been amazing.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Dan Aykroyd's father, Peter Aykroyd, wrote A History of Ghosts, the true story of seances, mediums, ghosts, and Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
So like that's a real thing in his family.
His whole as a kid, he would have.
Oh, he talks.
That would be so weird.
There's actually we could wrap up the Dan Aykroyd talk, but I've seen so many interviews. There's an interview that he goes on with Dan Aykroyd with his dad on a Canadian like podcast thing, and I think he's a very interesting guy. He's very strange, but he's also creative. Like the original Ghostbusters is about them on the moon. It was fucking crazy, and they're like, well, maybe it's just dude. The original Ghostbusters was like in the future, and I think the original idea was like they're exterminators for ghosts, but it's also like on the moon, and like there's also monsters. It was just too crazy.
It seems like he's got like that George Lucas thing where it's like
too
much, and then someone else has to come and be like, all right, chill out, dude. Like,
maybe Han Solo
stuff.
should be a lizard. Maybe Han Solo should be a guy.
Maybe not, man. Maybe just a man. Maybe just a normal person we can actually cast.
Was Han Solo supposed to be a lizard?
I think he was supposed to be a lizard man. Yeah.
So one of the it is. I think it's Han Solo, isn't it?
Oh my god.
Yeah, I think it was Han Solo. He's supposed to be a lizard or a fish or something.
Well, no, I'll button the Dan Aykroyd conversation by saying Nothing But Trouble is a movie you should watch. But it is absolutely horrible, and it's the reason he never got to make another movie ever again in Hollywood.
No, he didn't make another one because he didn't have to.
It was a mic drop.
He made his Star Wars, and he fucking walked away. He turned 360 degrees, and he walked away. You got it.
Bobo and Fartsy. What's the other one's name?
I can't remember, but he plays one of them because nobody wanted to play the other fucking twin.
Is that real? Is that why he had to do it?
I think so. I don't quote me on that, but he definitely plays one of the two. I don't think anybody wanted to sit in prosthetic for 9 hours. I'll just fucking do it.
He couldn't pay anybody to dress up like that.
Put the baby makeup on me. I'll just fucking do it. We'll just shoot the scene. We'll be done. I'll put the baby makeup on me. He jumped on that grenade.
Yeah, he's you at 2:00 in the morning recording those lines.
Doing the Renaissance man.
That was his Renaissance man. That giant junkyard baby. It was his Renaissance man.
The junkyard baby twins. Oh my god, it's so good.
Tupac is in it, and also Tupac. That was Tupac's. I forget what was the act he was associated with. I forget.
Digital Underground.
Yeah, that was the first. That was the first time they were ever in a movie or anything, right?
Oh, so they want to be actors too.
Yeah. R.I.P. to Shock G. He just passed away.
That's right.
Last year.
Yep.
Yeah.
The leader of Digital Underground. All right. Back to Smiling Friends. It keeps happening.
Dan Aykroyd for 2 hours.
It just keeps happening.
Can we just get a character in Smiling Friends that has the same nose as the Reeve in Nothing But Trouble?
Absolutely.
That's really all I need.
I'd love to have a
slowly devouring a disgusting hot dog.
You know, we couldn't do the DJ Spit pubes, the Happy Trail, but I'd love if we could do a cock nose. That'd be amazing. Like I think seven people have seen that movie, but I would love to throw a reference to it.
The noses on Smiling Friends are iconic already at this
who that
point.
would look the best?
It's like half noses.
The Boss, that would make the most sense with.
Oh.
The Boss is like eating a hot dog. Come in here, boys. He's eating a hot dog. Just rip off that movie. I've never seen anyone reference that, you know?
Come on in here, boys.
Come on in, boys.
What is this movie? What's the
basic?
brief
We have to move up, but the log line is it's Chevy Chase and his wife go. It's based on a real story Dan Aykroyd had where he was like driving through rural New York and he got pulled over for a ticket. It was like a small town, and the judge like invited him to his house and said, "Come to my house, we'll resolve the ticket." And he was like so freaked out by it that he wrote and directed this giant movie. This is after Ghostbusters. This is after
way after.
This is
way
after Coneheads, I think too. Like it's after Blues Brothers. It's after all the shit that people like Dan Aykroyd for. And this was his first directorial debut, and he wrote it. This was like his vision, and he made this movie about Chevy Chase and his wife going to this small town.
Demi Moore,
yeah, and they go to this small town, and it's like basically the same thing. They have a taillight out, and John Candy, who's the police officer of the small town, says, "We got to take you to the courthouse," and they get locked in this insane like Hills Have Eyes town. But the movie is deeply unappealing to look at. It's ugly. It's not very funny, but it's really creative. It's really creative. Like it's not uninspired.
Never let a banker go.
Does Dan Aykroyd actually show up in the movie?
He not only shows up, he plays the judge who has a cock nose. Basically, there's like a judge character who's like, come in here and have dinner with me. And he gives everyone like gray hot dogs. And like, there's one shot, they're like gray rotten hot dogs. I don't know, but and there's like a little choo-choo train that gives them condiments and
wieners.
Shit. Yeah,
they're
like,
giant.
Look at the chat. He only eats hot dogs, and
the condiments are on a train. The condiments are on like a choo-choo train that goes around the table.
It plays the Wabash Cannonball as it zips around the table with pickles.
But then, for no reason, for I think one, maybe two shots on the close-up of that judge character's face, the tip of his nose is literally a cock. For no reason, they never address it or explain. I think Chevy Chase just makes a face. He goes, "Oh," you know, but they never explain the cock nose. Does it leak any liquid? No, but it should have. It should have spurted something. Yeah, that'd be nice. Anyhow, that is nothing but trouble. So please,
and this was a panned movie. This was a flop, was it?
Yes,
I think Siskel and Ebert hated it. Yeah, I don't think they liked it.
Horribly received. It was very, very poorly received.
Why are you the only ones? Are you guys the only ones that saw it in the whole world?
I think so.
I think 7 people in America, including Dan Aykroyd, have seen that fucking movie.
Yeah. No,
I bet I've seen it 50 times, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it was on HBO just like daily for several summers in a row.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good summer movie. It really gets you the summer vibe.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. There's the Rotten Tomato, 13%.
That's a gut punch. I feel secondhand.
Zach, have you ever talked about your love for hot dog tub time machine? Have you ever?
We have to get too off here, but I will just say I'll put up with movies if I think the premise is cool. You know what I mean? Like I think the idea for a hot tub time machine is really awesome. I like the idea of a hot tub time machine.
It is a cool concept.
I like time travel
is a good
stuff.
Concept.
They just got you with the title.
That movie is like right at the end of when like movies could just have like a wholesome and funny kind of.
Just be a stupid comedy. Yeah, I know.
They just don't make movies like that anymore. So it's kind of like a bit nostalgic in its own right now.
That is right at the end of those crappy like which like you say I'm nostalgic for now.
What does that mean? What is
pure stupid pre-politicized like it was just a dumb. Well, I'm a guy that farts. It's like that I am almost nostalgic for because it's so stupid. Like, Dude, Where's My Car? They don't make movies like that anymore. And I'm not saying they should, but Dude, Where's My Car? That even like Office Space, man, you can look at the state of the world, especially pre 9/11 movies, or like right around, right, like what was the gripe?
I think it was like 2005. All right, 2004 was like after that.
The Iraq War and the recession made the world kind of miserable again. But post like the end of the Cold War, the Berlin Wall falls down. Russia is run by a big drunk guy who's just doesn't. He's not a maniac or a communist or anything like that. It was just, the world was nice. There was no tension, and so the biggest gripe is like the printer won't work. Like that. The biggest problem in the world was that things were so good they were boring, and so you get weird fucking. It's just a weird mindset to see humanity. You get Office Space and Dilbert and Dude, Where's My Car, and like you could just see the psychology versus you look at like a '70s movie, like
like dark and miserable.
Oh, they're horrific. Everybody's just killing each other
long.
for no reason.
Which is good in its own right, but it's like again it got like oversaturated, and then like other people would copy that, and then there'll be like worse versions.
Well, what happens is you see miserable shit for 10 years, and then you get the '80s like Cheers, and you get this, all this like. It swings back, and then the '90s switch back from the '80s, being too cheery. The '90s was kind of cynical again, and it just kind of it goes back and forth. But why do we even get into the? Oh yeah, hot tub time machine.
Just talking about cool stuff. Sorry, I completely derailed that.
That's all right. That's all right. Why don't we jump back to it? But yeah, Hot Tub Time Machine, dude.
Very good movie. Go and watch it.
Dude, boil up some ramen noodles, smoke some weed,
grab a soda, grab a
soda pop,
some chips.
Yeah,
sit on the couch, just have a good time.
A Diet Coke. I did notice last night that Dude, Where's My Car is filed under science fiction on Amazon.
It kind of is though. I mean, dude, there's aliens in it.
There's giants, right?
There's aliens. There's giant female, and also like, isn't there like a like alien tech? There's like a cube that.
There's alien tech, Michael. I would.
There is at the end. Somewhere there's alien
tech.
Tech. I know I saw it.
Science fiction confirmed. Dude, Where's My Car? Hey guys, here's a big one. Is Adult Swim happy? How are they feeling over there?
I think they're pretty happy. I mean, we don't know everything, of course. They don't tell us everything, but just seeing their Twitter and their Instagrams they're posting about Smile and Friends, it seems like they're seeing their interactions with it and all the fan art as much as we are. So I think they're pretty happy.
Yeah,
we've obviously heard from our the people we go back and forth with, and they couldn't be happier. It's good.
Yeah, I don't want to put words in their mouth or nothing, but yeah, I think they're seeing everybody, and please keep it up. And we just want to you don't want to say it too much, but really like thank everyone who's been supporting it and even talking about it, because people really do see it and it really does make a difference. And so they're noticing people making stuff. I think beyond like the nice comments are very nice and they're seeing that, but also they're just seeing the torrents of like there's literally so much fan art. Yeah. They can't share it all. So I think they're very happy. Yeah, from what we can tell, maybe they just can't stand it. But they seem happy from what we can tell.
Okay. Good. I mean, I thought that maybe you'd have somebody who you speak with regularly over there who's like, guys, you're not going to believe it, because let me tell you something. My Twitter feed is like mostly made up of some of the most like cynically depressed people on the internet who just kind of hate everything. And the amount of love and kind of like resoundingly positive feedback I've seen about Smiling Friends is pretty unprecedented. And I'm not just trying to say that. It's true, though. There are people I see all the time who I'm like, I really like love Smiling Friends. I love Michael and Zach. I hope this person doesn't rip it. And then all of a sudden they're like, I love this show. And I'm like, me too. It's amazing. Like we all agree. The consensus is in. And it's a rare thing that I've noticed with Smiling Friends is being able to, I don't know, everyone seems to like it. It's almost unheard of.
That was our goal, really, because we didn't want to target anyone or like, we just want to genuinely make like a nice, fun, hopefully funny show that's colorful to watch. Like that really was the goal. Like that simple thing is all we were kind of thinking about while making it. So that's very it's very good to hear that because that's exactly what we wanted.
Yeah, no, Michael, I mean, literally at those stressful or low points, I mean, it sounds so fucking cheesy, but it really is true. The point of the show was just to not make anybody even think or feel anything, but just maybe a laugh or fear. One of the cases of the episode, that was on purpose. That was intentional to just get something as close to a genuine reaction as we could. And my favorite comments that are not the very nice ones, my favorite comments that are critical are the ones where people say like, look, I don't like shows like this. usually. And maybe they say, I didn't even like the show, but this one part made me laugh. And the way I look at it is if you can make somebody that goes into something to not like it, and you get them with a laugh, or you make them enjoy one part of it, well, then I think that's a win. Because nothing has 100% consensus. So I think the best that you can hope for is when that those people that maybe didn't love it, when they chime in and they say, and some people do just hate it. That's fine, but that's going to happen. But when I've seen comments, people say like, look, this is my type of thing, but I enjoyed this, or this isn't my type of thing, but this one scene or this one moment or this one episode.
What's an example of a scene that has converted a hater?
I don't even know. I've seen, this is actually the other good thing too, by the way, just to kind of jump off what you just said. There is no consensus in the sense that I've seen people say the best episode or my favorite episode is episode like 3. And somebody else goes, no, that's the bottom. Mine's episode like 5. I've literally seen every potential ordering that people could rank the episode. So, which I love. So some people love this episode and they go, oh, that's maybe my middle favorite or my least favorite. But I've seen stuff all over the map, which I like I said, because if everybody was kind of converging and going, this one episode doesn't really work, or this one is clearly the best, you still feel good that you made something good and then maybe not so good. But the fact that it's all over the board says to me, people are debating and talking about it. And it really is just a difference in perspective and like taste, which I kind of like. But yeah, I wish I could give a more hardcore answer. I wish I could also remember what, people said this moment, but I've seen a few of those where people have said, I did like the show, but this one joke got me or something.
It's usually something quick and funny and stupid. Like that's the thing. Like I think, we went into it not wanting to do any like serious. It's not like, it's like the hugging and learning thing from Seinfeld. They made that a rule, like no hugging, learning. We kind of had the same philosophy, and hopefully bits like if you're watching and like, oh fuck this show, blah blah blah. Hopefully the bits that get you are just the stupid like, blah, blah, blah. It's like a quick character. Like I think those are the things that everyone's like, all right, like that's harmless. That's not like a big statement. It's just stupid shit. Like it's just a stupid show again.
Because it's exactly the whole point. And I actually think in some ways that's more difficult to just try to shoot for comedy than to add things like that. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. You need both, because if all of entertainment was just episodic stuff like it was before the serialization, you need both. You need to let people choose whatever they like. But in my experience, working on this, it is definitely a little bit harder for sure. Again, in my experience, to just do straight comedy. But the show doesn't think it's making a statement. The show isn't trying to change the world. It's just trying to be funny. And
even if I was thinking, like, even if there is things like the nihilism thing and Frowning Friends, blah blah blah. It's like we're not trying to be South Park. We don't want to be a satirical like fucking jab these people. It's like even that's really light and just like stupid and fun. Like it's not like this big statement. Like I learned something today. Like it's not that might be like little bits of like like satirical stuff, but it's never like goes too deep. It shouldn't go too deep ever.
Yeah, we really tried to make that a whole thing. And like there's stuff in there that maybe people could say like, oh, but really to us, like if there is some stuff in the show that maybe people might, because I've also seen people saying, oh, this show goes this way. People, again, it's kind of like a Rorschach test. But anyways, the show doesn't make any big points. But even where it does kind of talk about stuff that's going on, it's always to serve a joke. There's not one thing in there that makes a point but doesn't tell a joke. There's some things that maybe go the other way, but if anything, and that's one of the ways that Friday Friends got cut down, was we had this big kind of rough, it wasn't even serious, but there were just not as many jokes in it, and we just said what we need to do to clean this up is just to cut the crap away. Yes. You make a point in a show like this, and people just go, well, like I already thought that, or
you're cleverer than me.
Yeah, you would, exactly.
You never want the audience to be like, oh, great, like you're smarter than me. Like even when we're not, it just makes it seem like if we do, craft this perfect little episode with a big message. It's like it's some guy in Oklahoma that's like, dude, I just want to laugh at something.
Yeah.
I
just want to laugh at DJ Spit pulling a gun out.
Yeah, exactly.
There was somebody who did not like Smiling Friends, and this came out on a site called the Illuminati in December.
I love that fucking article so much.
Before we get to this good question, because I'm just going to use the restroom super quick. I apologize to all the people listening. I had a big pot of coffee and a big thing of water to stay hydrated to balance off the coffee. I'll be right back.
Fine.
Thank you so much, Michael.
We'll just chat. We'll have a nice little chat.
That gives them a bit of time to browse it if they haven't seen it yet.
Oh man. Yeah.
That literally is the only negative thing I've seen on any platform.
Dude, that article, I've read that like 3 times now. Just like, I still don't really know if it's bait. I mean, I guess we'll talk about it when Zach gets back. But like, what? I can't really tell if it's a joke or not. I can't at this point. It seems just, it's too perfect.
I felt like you guys could have written it, and it would have been very funny that you wrote it.
maybe we did, and we just forgot. I mean, I don't know. It's so good though. It does feel like scripted almost. But anyway, yeah, let's save it. Save it for Zach.
What was while he's gone, what was the big point that you cut out of the Frowning Friends stuff?
It wasn't so much a point. It was just lingering, like already what's there subtly, like the whole, like nothing matters. And then, when he's going to die, he's like, no, please don't kill me, blah, blah, blah. Like just, it's a bit of
just drawing that out more.
Just, I guess drawing that out, focusing on it more where it seems a bit more, making a point just through like the plotting of it. And I think dialing that back and just doing more stupid, fun, like funny stuff kind of softened that a bit. And it made it seem like it wasn't this big, statement. It was just like, because it was a thought more than, it was just an observation more than a big message. We don't want to send like this crazy big message or anything. So
and people turned it into that anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's because it's there in a subtle sense, but that's only for like I say, just like a little observation. It's not really it's not a big, you're an idiot if you're a nihilist. Like it's not that. It's not right. Anything really. It's just
it also
light.
Like it just served a good purpose to like, what is the opposite of the smiling friends? To make people miserable. And to us, it was also like, basically, it's not even a philosophical debate, because people will say, well, nihilism isn't pessimism. I understand that point. But the big thing we were making was basically anybody that is a bummer to be around and thinks it makes them awesome and also makes money off of it, or potentially is like benefiting off of that. So you're telling everyone like, fuck the world, man, this place sucks, and you're also like making money out. It's like, that's kind of lame. That's what we were, but that's not, but also, like I said, we tried to put the jokes in front of it. To us, it was just funny to see the stupid.
Yeah, it's like it's the bizarre versions of the Smiling Friends, just like a classic TV trope, basically. Like that's just funny to see that.
Yeah, Bizarro Jerry, Bizarro Elaine. Okay, Matt, go ahead. Go ahead with your article.
Let's hit this article, because Monsieur Chinchilla brought it to the server like a month ago. I mean, it did come out in December, and it's got this part at the opening. It says, unfortunately, Cusack is no Roiland, and Smiling Friends is no Rick and Morty. It's no Big Mouth. It's no Big Mouth. Not Inside Job. It's not even up to par with Solar Opposites. What separates this series from those wonderful shows is how mean-spirited and dismissive Smiling Friends is. This is not a TV program that is going to age well, and to be frank, I'm shocked it's making it to air in 2022, even on the notoriously provocative Adult Swim. So, what do you think when you read that?
He's got a point. I mean,
he's right.
No, he's just right. He's correct.
No,
but Zach, when you were gone, I was saying, I can't tell if it's a parody or not, or if it's bait. I can't actually tell at this point.
Well, I don't know what yours. Did I send that to you? Because here's my. By the way, we haven't we didn't want to jump on the guy or anything, because just out of professionalism. But I definitely saw it, and I was I was like so stoked about the show coming out, and I would like Google like once every like 4 or 5 days. I Google like Smiling Friends and just click news. And I was like, oh, it's a review. And then it says Smiling Friends not up to par. And I was like, and I was ready to click it and go. I was like, all right, well, bum me out. Well, because what happened was the network will send out, I don't know if it's the network, but the people will send out like early episodes. So this is before the show even came out, like before the show even aired.
For critics to review, like professional critics, basically.
And we had a lot of people say very nice things that saw the episodes, but that was the one that was published. And again, I saw the title, and I was I'm a believer in criticism, and maybe if we can see where we did something maybe not great, we can improve on it. I want to read about it. So I saw the headline, and I was like, okay, fair criticism. And then I got to that part, and I just thought, like what Michael said, I thought either this is a parody or this person literally just doesn't get it. Like there's a million critiques people could throw at the show. That would be totally, totally fair. But to call the show cynical or like mean-spirited is maybe the one singular thing you cannot say about it. That probably is the most bizarre part of that, besides the weird, like factual inaccuracies in there where they say like Michael Cusack also knows PsychicPebbles. Just not even.
That's the kind of stuff that makes me think like, oh, maybe this is like just like trolling, just like a made up thing. But yeah, I can't tell. It's just so but I love it. I know I love reading it.
It's bizarre because like I said, I read that and I was going like, all right, like throw it at me. What did we do wrong? And then you get to that, you immediately read it, you're like, oh my god. And then there's a great part that says, "Smiling friends think suicide is funny." Which
suicide is a joke. It's like, dude,
yeah,
like the whole thing.
Liberals bad, suicide
it's
funny.
Like the opposite of that. It's like it's incredible. Like I really don't understand like how. Did he see all the episodes, Zach, or did he just see a few?
No, it was like I think it was just episode 1, 2, 3, 4.
So Halloween one, because he had a problem with the blackface joke at the end. He's like, yeah, and it led up to saying like, oh, raging liberals are crazy.
Yeah,
it's like, dude, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
what are you talking about?
Crazy liberals. It's like we didn't put that anywhere. Again, that's the Rorschach test of someone looking at that going, oh, I get where you're going.
Reading more into it. The whole point of Smiling Friends is like not like that we're not doing a thing that you can like read into massively. It's all supposed to be just like smashed and like if we had a character making a statement, you'd feel like you want to just like do the opposite immediately. Like you'd want to like kind of subvert it immediately and be like, no, that's fucking stupid. Like it's just there's never that kind of thing like that. So that's why I think that guy's like that's why I felt like it was bait, really, that article.
The weird thing to me about that article is that it's what pops up on the first page of Google when you look up Smiling Friends, or is it? At least it did for me.
It's
maybe that's some sort of like Google cookie thing. I don't know.
Comments. There's 100 comments dogpiling the guy. It probably fucking like contributed to that. It was all the comments.
There was like a tweet that was linking to it that I think got lots of retweets and likes that I think pushed it up.
I'm sure like the SEO of that literally brought it to the front.
Are there more kind of legitimate outlets that have reviewed the show?
Yeah, like I said, like
Collider, I think is one of them. Is that a legitimate one? I don't even know how big they are.
I don't know.
Seems pretty big.
Yeah, I've seen plenty of positive reviews from people that got the episodes early. I mean, like I said, you know, I really, honest to God, mean it. If somebody doesn't like the show, that is unavoidable, and that's totally fine. All we ask for is like fairness and not. It would be like saying South Park season 1 is too well animated, and you're going, that is the one critique. What are you talking about? What are you saying?
Yeah.
So there's a math proof that's made the rounds for decades. It shows how 1 equals 2. You start with a times b equals a squared, and 7 steps later you've got 1 equals 2. Well, on the surface, the whole progression is pretty compelling, but there is a subtle flaw in the process, and you really only see that problem when you've actually done it yourself. This is the kind of interactive experience that Brilliant.org provides in its courses. It's not some YouTuber telling you about a thing, it's you doing the thing in a very well-structured way. Hit the number theory course or the physics of the everyday, pop into vector calculus or cryptocurrency. There is a ton to choose from. I like the math history course because it's got a bit of math and it's got a bit of the humanities. I like the stories behind the numbers. Scan over what they've got and something is going to grab you. You can get started learning on Brilliant for free, and the first 200 people to sign up through brilliant.org/createunknown will also get 20% off an annual premium membership. Click it, check out the options, and get started, because that's free. And if you want to go premium, 20% off with brilliant.org/createunknown. It's a new year. Start learning something. Start mastering something. We talk about make something mean something. Do that in your mind with Brilliant. Brilliant.org/createunknown. Links down below.
Well, I want to do a little round table thing here, and that is I want everybody to go around and talk about their favorite scene, and I will start first, and then you guys can jump in with your favorite scene in any order. So my favorite scene is in Satan's office, where the like DoorDash guy shows up, or the food delivery guy, and there's that whole awkward exchange between Satan and the delivery guy. He's got to take a picture of the food and like, hold on real quick. Did you forget my straw? Oh, yes, of course they forgot it. All right, it's fine. No, it's fine. That whole thing, where did that come from? Was that an improvised thing? Like, please give me the background on that scene, because that was my favorite thing. And I'll also say real quick, before I hand it off, that scene encapsulates, to me personally, something that is a separator for me for Smiling Friends. I don't see that humor and that scene and that type of joke anywhere else. And it's something that I love. And I think that you guys pull off better than anyone. And like, I can't even think of anybody who does that, like, realistic awkwardness. Like, other comedians do, awkward comedy, Ricky Gervais, Larry David. That's kind of the point of their comedy. But you guys pepper in these unexpected moments that are like hyper realistically stupid and awkward. And how do you even remember those exchanges or come up with them in order to turn them into a scene in your show?
That's a great question. Yeah. By the way, it's hard for me to pick my favorite, but I think that Satan scene is it's up there. But specifically for stuff like that, or like the Renaissance Men stuff, that is all scripted, but it is like, even like just to touch on that big mouth Pim is terrifying. Holy shit. Dude, look at that. What the fuck? Oh my God. Sorry to the people that can't see, don't have a visual on what I'm fucking looking at here. But yeah, like, sorry, what I was going to say was, so Satan's Throne Room, that was Michael and I making the show. Like, literally, we were like looking at our rooms, and a lot of people said, like, that looks like my room. It was like, I don't know how to play piano, but I bought a keyboard, and I was like, during the pandemic, and I was like, I'm going to learn piano, and it said there's just like books and shit stacked on it.
It was a bowl of cereal on
bowl
it.
Of cereal.
If anyone's got a keyboard, there's always a bowl of cereal on their keyboard.
Yeah. There's a bowl of cereal and a couple books, a couple envelopes, and yeah, to us it was like, if another show, not even a show specifically, but if another show tried to do something like that, it would be like, there's like garb, like dirty, like rotten food on the ground, and we're like, no. The joke is basically that there's not like a turned over cup with it spilled out. It's like, you wouldn't have that. What you would have is an empty cup and a half empty cup stacked up, like lined up next to each other. And I'm going a little bit off on a tangent, but I think it relates to the whole thing. So to us, the realism was basically going, let's tap into this thing that we live. We're not pandering. We're not 55-year-old writers going, what would be hip if Pim and Charlie would an Instagram? No, what's realistic is you're laying in bed, like watching a YouTube video on your phone, and you're taking a hit off your vape pen and just going, oh, like, that is real. That is the state of modern people, and you're miserable, and you're just kind of sitting there inhaling all these vices, and you're just in a state of, oh, okay. And to us, hitting on that was really funny and real in a way. Again, like playing Rust. To us, it's funnier if we were fucking like playing Rust at that time. Like, we just to get away from it, not like substantially, but you work a super long day, and then what do you do? Like, oh, I'm just gonna fucking play Rust for 4 hours. And so
the Uber Eats guy, it was kind of like, he kind of came a little bit from that Bushworld guy. Not really. I think he's just an Uber Eats guy. Like, it's just reality. It's just what you experience every day. I think people are scared to like show that in like animation and film and something, like even if it's real. I don't know why, but it makes it way funnier.
If you've ever ordered delivery, you've met that character like 1,000. Like, I ordered food 2 days ago, and they forgot. I ordered a bag. It was like Chipotle. I ordered like a burrito thing and a bag. They forgot the bag of chips. And it's not like the biggest thing in the world. Go cry about it, right? But that, like, the amount of times where they've not given me something like a drink or a fucking whatever. So that was just us really trying to make the show. Like, some of us making the show kind of went into the show, not in a meta way, like Pim and Charlie have to pitch a TV show like Seinfeld, but just basically living at home, working from home, ordering food, waking up at like fucking 1 p.m. Just that existence, which you fight so hard every day to get out of. And nobody says there's a problem with that. Like, there's not movies or TV, and not even in a finger wagging, like, how dare you way, but just go, like, look, if you're out there right now and you listen to this podcast and you're like, we get it. We've lived the life. We understand it. You're stuck. You're not exercising.
We're not saying embrace it too. Like, there's a lot of shows that kind of put that message across and say embrace it. Like it's in the zeitgeist now, like it was to be like, oh, like, it's cool to be like lazy and do nothing. It's like, we do it in a way where it's like, no, this is actually like not cool. Like, it's actually lame to just like, do nothing. You're
unhappy, and we know
did it
because we're unhappy too.
And the reason we're saying is because we were there. We were Satan on with like smoking on the vape and going, oh fuck, I've got all these emails to go through. It's like, we relate.
Yeah, we lived it, and still, like, dude, I still fucking, it's like sleep and exercise and diet and
constant battle
daily. there's some more risque things you can like porn, but so many young men right now are fucking struggling with that shit, and nobody even, I'm not even talking about for like religious reasons why not to do it, but just like the same reason why you shouldn't be eating McDonald's for every meal is why you shouldn't be, just sitting at your computer gooning for 12 hours a day. You're not happy. We know it. Because I've done that. I've fucking done that 10 times. And you're like, why did I do that? I could have like read a book.
You never learn. You never learn.
Many kudos. We got a
You never
goon.
learn.
We got a goon here.
Just
I
stop.
can't believe you mentioned gooning.
We get it. Yes, please. Please.
God.
Let's bridge you to gooning.
I can't believe we got to gooning. It's not even an hour and a half in, and we got to gooning.
Well, we went from nothing but trouble with gooning. Those were my only 2 checklists. I had to. Those are the only 2 things I wrote down before.
Oh my God. Well, I mean, I expect the gooning scene in season 2. It does seem though that scene that that portrait that you painted of Satan in that scene. I don't know that the other people working in Hollywood or whatever can relate to that, can they? I mean, it takes you guys to be able to know what that's like, because what that's like.
Here's the thing. We'd hope that we relate to it relates to them, but then they're like, oh, fuck, that happens to me, and why didn't I put that in something? Like, I think everyone would relate to that. Even if you are like a Hollywood executive, I'm sure like you're probably just like you're probably getting Uber Eats and doing all that kind of stuff, but they kind of like, I think they repress that, and they're like, because it's reality, they push away from
they
that.
would see it. Well, they'd be like, "Why is that funny?" Like,
why is that funny?
If you said like write something out of it, but also not to get too into it, but Michael and I grew up pretty similar backgrounds. I did have a lot of money growing up, and so like that just like feeling like you're in a whirlpool and it's never gonna get better is such a relatable thing. And again, nobody talks about it. There's so many kind of just people stuck in this weird. It's pretty new too, by the way. This
like
is
the
all the result of overabundance.
Feeling,
a lot of people are experiencing that for the first time.
Oh yeah. Well, and by the way, here's the really fucked up thing. It gets worse every generation. And I'm not saying this in the way where it's like, what Socrates talking about. Why do kids now sleep around? I'm not talking about like kids these days. I mean, literally, we don't have the equipment mentally to fight back. You now have an overabundance of food, so now you have to worry about not getting overweight, and you now have cell phones and TV. So basically what I'm saying is 1,000 years ago, you were not. It was all secondary. You were not having to go, I got to get to bed before 9 p.m. You went to bed when it got dark and cold, and you woke up, and you don't have to worry about not eating McDonald's, even though it's 15 minutes away on DoorDash, and you have $10 in credits on DoorDash. You just would eat a fucking bison and then run for 2 days and do cardio and then you eat again.
Bison?
Whatever the fuck you're doing.
Eat a big deer.
Eat a yak or something, some kind of yak. Eat a fucking yak or whatever.
That's totally
antelope.
normal.
You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, and like now, like just like social media, you're going, no, I need to fight it. So basically what I'm saying is, most people's experience slowly throughout the last 40, 50, 60, 70, through overabundance, which is a good thing. And a lot of, it's better to have overabundance than lack of resources. But slowly but surely, most people's lives now have just kind of become just fighting back the vices to normalcy, to just not be thinking about smoking weed, drinking alcohol, eating a fucking piece of pizza. Just going, I'm just going to be normal and not have to worry about this bombardment for a day. That was something that I feel like, again, like you said, like a lot of people relate to it, but they can't articulate it, or they don't even know it's a bad thing. And I don't even mean abundance is a bad thing. I mean somebody just kind of participating.
I think they know deep down it's bad, but they're like, it's like a repressing thing, right? It's like, but I just have to deal with it. But then when it's pointed out, they're like, oh yeah, I guess that is fucked up.
Well, here's the insidious thing: it gives you pleasure. Why would something be bad that gives you? Well, eating, eating something or not exercising rather than exercising. Well, that gives me a dopamine rush. You know what I mean? That does give me a high to sit on Twitter and see your tweet got more likes. So a lot of people would say, well, how can it be bad if it makes me feel good? And, I've realized now, just saying that, we're way off the deep end of what we were talking about, but that does loop back into what we were trying to, because I think that applies to that scene in the last episode, but I think that is the philosophy to Smiling Friends. We don't have a philosophy, but tapping into that, I think is the
It
undercurrent.
was also the contrast. It was like everything's interesting, but it's got like quite a wide contrast. So if the show had all that kind of content, but it was like super dark and gloomy and not colorful, then it's like, yeah, it just would have been too much of that. But the fact that it's like all colorful and just like kind of like simple, like cute designs, having that as like the basis was like a nice combo, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Pim and Charlie were like, if they looked like Desmond in terms of they were ugly, like they were, they had desaturated palettes and they just looked like wrinkly and stuff, I don't think it would have worked. But the fact that you're seeing this little pink, little
next to the guy with the gun next to his head, it's just like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah,
that's a weird combo.
And so I think it works for the contrast because you have all these crazy characters, and then you have this realistic thing a lot of people, the world is kind of going through, which is how do we as a speed, we've never had to deal with this before, deal with all these things, and so and the realism of that, I guess, was kind of, and also just becoming more awkward. Like becoming awkward.
We are definitely becoming more socially awkward. I feel like I am as I get older. Like I'm actually getting something's dying in my brain, I think.
wait, is that from like lack of exercising that muscle?
It might have just been like the kind of like the lockdown, like the 2 years of the pandemic being inside. I think that kind of fuck with me with a bit. Like I think, like even then, I just went for a bit. I can't even talk sometimes. Like,
Go on, try getting it up.
I do think I'm slightly. Doesn't everyone kind of feel like that though? Like they're being slightly a bit fucked from it.
Wait, also give me 1 sec. Keep the conversation going. Like I never left.
That's all right. But is that just me or are you guys? Is everyone like what happened? That was weird. How we went through that whole 2 years. And now it's like I feel like we've gone a bit crazier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's turned into one big time period, and that's the odd part is it's removed all of these the signposts along the way. Yeah. Especially if you're in a place that doesn't have 4 very clear seasons, that makes a difference here. Like the milder the climate you're in, the more it's like one giant 2.5 year season of life. It is a lot easier when you've got ways to break up the year and you can think back that way. But all the normal markers that you would break up time with are not there. And I think that makes it very confusing to process the whole thing.
I think it's also really interesting because we all consumed so much content in that time too, like probably more than we ever would like in another year, like triple or quadruple, like just all the movies and TV shows, and we're online so much. I feel like memes got weirder, like just kind of like comedy, just stuff on like Instagram got like really strange, and I think I don't think it was a bad thing going through that. It was like I think we all kind of just like the fact the metaverse was announced like right in it or like around like that era like made a lot of sense. I think it was like, oh, I think we're like, what do you like? I don't know if I'm even ready for that. Like going in, like actually putting like the chip in my brain, but
it seems like the opposite way that we should be going. I know, for instance, that I have had a lot more very strange interactions with strangers in public than I used to have.
Oh yeah.
Like just 5 years ago, where
your stories are amazing.
Oh, just the weirdest things. Like the weirdest things happen to me when I just go to the gas station or go food shopping that never used to happen before. So like one time a guy behind me just started rambling about how he can't drink anymore, not like he used to, but he just has these 2 like tall boys and that's all he can drink. But like his buddies will drink a 30 pack. And he remembers the days that he used to do that. And he used to do cocaine. But then he had to stop doing cocaine because he had a heart attack. I'm literally checking out at the grocery store and he's just rambling about all of this stuff, like illicit drug use. Like, I don't know who this man is. And I'm just like nodding and smiling and waiting to leave and to pay. I had another instance like 2 weeks ago at the gas station where this lady just started rambling to me about how somebody was tailgating her and she pulled over and flipped the guy off. I'm like, okay, I don't know what to do with
gang stalk.
on her, that's not a fucking story. It's like, so you open.
I don't know what to do with that information though. Like, why am I being told this? I'm like, all right, sorry that happened to you, miss. The worst was a couple of weeks ago. I'm at the grocery store. Yeah, Matt knows this. I almost got to a fight with this woman. Not for no reason, but like I didn't deserve it. So what happened was, I'm checking out again, and this extremely old lady, like the Smiling Friends old lady, blowing the lollipop, comes walking by, pushing her cart, and she crashes into this like equally elderly old man in his shopping cart, like bang, and because there's not enough room for her to get by, so the old man like awkwardly kind of moves his cart, and like the 400-year-old lady like awkwardly moves hers, and she eventually like squeaks by him. So, I notice after she leaves that there's a case of bottled water on the floor by itself. There's no one around. There's just a case of bottled water, like kind of in the middle of the floor. So I'm still waiting for, 900-year-old George Burns man to check out. So I go to the bottle of water and just very gently and gingerly and kind of quietly, I slide the case of bottled water against the wall just to clear the path so that
that's a normal thing to do.
It was in the way. It looked abandoned, and it literally caused an accident between two geriatric people.
Oh, wait. You're the one that caused it? That happened
because you moved it.
No,
Kevin pushed it in front of the old people, and then they fell
down.
So
you took the case of water bottles, and you went 100 feet in the air, and you dropped it on both of their heads at the same time.
You killed these two beautiful poor women?
Yeah, so I took my blackjack out of the back of my pants, and I whacked the old lady in the back of the head with it.
You started slicing her head off,
you came in there, and you said, bitches, leave. And everyone scattered. It was just you and the two elderly.
So like 30 seconds to a minute goes by, and some woman is in my ear, and she goes, was that in your way? And I turn around, I'm like, excuse me? And she's like, was that in your way? I'm like, the case of bottled water, it was actually in the way of like a couple of old people. And she's like, she had plenty of room.
Oh, so she saw it. She was like watching.
She saw the whole thing. It was her bottle. It was her water. I go, excuse me. She did not have plenty of room. Witnessed by the fact that she literally crashed her cart into this other old man. This old lady crashed her cart into this old man. And I'm like, that's all I'm saying. So I moved it out of the way. She goes, don't touch my stuff.
That's real fucking nice. Yeah, dude.
And then she didn't buy the bottle of water, guys.
She left it there. You touched it.
She left it there.
No, you did. You did the equivalent. You did the equivalent of taking a baby bird out of its nest, and you fucking touched the water bottle, and that is why the mother rejected the water because you touched it. You got your germs on it. She smelled your germs on it.
She did. She freaking left it there. She didn't touch it after I moved it out of the way. Because I saw her get into the other line. She wouldn't get into my line, of course, because, I'm the devil. And then she checked out with her like horrible sushi. And to this day, I'm sure that bottle of water, the case of water is still there.
Sitting there causing pile-ups in the middle of that.
People are falling over everywhere over it.
There's like a pile of dead bodies. It's like those videos where the cars in the snow get fucking, they just keep coming in the highway. Old people keep coming. Oh my, it's too late by the time they realize.
Oh man. Guys, we never even got to the part about our favorite scenes.
Well, I can hit mine real quick.
Okay.
And it's it's representative of a much larger thing that runs through all the episodes. So when there's the scene where Pim is shirtless, I happened to pause the TV then to get some tea. And when I came back, I'm like, my God, Pim's nipples are massive and bright pink, like they're positively succulent. And I'm thinking, how did what is the process here? Like, because I know I instantly pictured like all of you sitting around a table talking about exactly how big to make them, how like what color to make them, like for maximum humor. Like, how do you decide on a little tiny detail like that has nothing to do with the scene, but adds up to being the scene?
Zach, you drew Pim's nipples, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I had the honor. I think I had the great honor. Well, that was something that's a design thing. So yeah, that was something because we didn't know like what did they look like shirtless, because we had to have a design for that. Because I think you see Charlie naked a few times, and I think Pim you see maybe once or twice without a shirt. So we had to get those designs. And just also like the personality, like Michael and I asked questions. Would Pim wear boxers? Would Charlie wear briefs? Would they wear underwear?
Yeah.
And so just the look of their bodies, it just felt like in character. We did like maybe 3 roughs and then we kind of picked it out. But kind of on the same subject as Charlie's dick, which was drawn. It was literally the final thing before we turned the episodes. It was because it was he comes down at the very end for people who've seen it, and he hits the casket and he comes down naked after he reassembles, and there was nothing. There was not a blur there yet, and someone posted a picture. I'm sure you can go see it on YouTube or something, or Google too. But at the last episode when he's naked, that was just like, it was like a we knew we were going to blur it so he would have a penis, but originally drawn in the actual animation was just like a line with no, like an action figure with no genitals, kind of how Alan and Gleb have it. But then we said, well, if we blur that, you can tell we're blurring nothing. It just looks like we're blurring a pixel, doing a Gaussian blur of like a line. And so the last thing is, and by the way, actually, if you look at it, that's 2 blurs on top, because in the pixelation one that we sent the network, you could still see the outline of his, like the exact outline of his dick, just in his balls, but just pixelated.
Wasn't censoring anything, yeah.
And we were like, are they going to leave that in? And without saying anything, we just saw it and they put a blur on top of the blur. In fact, I wonder if I can, one of these points, find the thing. But yeah, that was the last thing done for the entire series was Charlie's dick. So it's a fun little factoid for you.
It's a good note.
Frame by frame going in.
I just thought there are so many. Oh my God, the episode chat. Jesus Christ. There are so many decisions like that on the tiniest details in every frame of this thing. And I just thought, my God, what a massive undertaking
so
every
many little
episode
things
must be.
that you just, like, you wouldn't even expect that you'd have to be across. But yeah, it never ended.
What's an example?
The Charlie Cock's a good one, but like it just like, oh, the clouds moving. It's like, oh, we want some shots of the clouds wouldn't move, and it's like, oh, they should move in that. Like just little things like background elements. And it's all part of making a show, but like it really gets down to the real ones and zeros and the smallest elements, which is interesting.
And do you and Zach have to make all of those decisions, or can you?
We make all the decisions,
but
we don't do all the work. So sometimes we just say, like, we'll say to one of the animators or the board artists, like, we really, have this idea, and we'll explain it to them. Like, we probably did fucking 300 conference calls of just getting all the people together, and we have to say it, but it's true. The team did a really good job. We had, really didn't have. I did the math on this, by the way. We basically, if you guys want to understand what our budget was for our show. And this is not a knock at adults, because we agreed to the budget and everything. It was just an interesting challenge. But the entire budget of our whole first season, all 8 episodes, was about the equivalent of 1 episode of Family Guy. Our entire, all the Mip animation of all that frame by frame shit, that was done. That was not a huge budgeted thing. That was very little budget with very motivated, very talented people. So
it's fine, because we wanted to challenge. Sorry, it's
no, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we wanted to challenge ourselves too. Like, we knew, like, the Adult Swim budgets are low, and that's the whole point of Adult Swim. But we wanted to see how far we could push our dollar, how far we could push people. So we had an amazing team. But it was just like, it was hard for them and us and pretty much everyone, because we're just pushing as far as we could go with it. And we would always tell people, like, at the end, it will be worth it. Like, it will be a good show. So like that was why it was so hard. We just wanted to push to 11 with all that stuff. And also, when you're working on a show, it is hard to see the light at the end of the tunnel, unless you're Michael and I, because we understand what the episodes look like in our head. But if you're a board artist that's having to redraw something, or a background artist, or an animator, it's easy to get kind of lost in it and feel like demotivated. But really, everybody did a really good job, and that was what we kept ourselves motivated. But just saying, like, look, just get it done. People will, when this is all done, and you could go on HBO Max and have a nice cup of cocoa and watch it all. That'll be when just keep through. But I would say, Michael and I, we approved every prop, every background, every character design, every shot that was animated, everything. We didn't do all the work. I got to make that big distinction. We did not do all the work, but we did have a very top down way of looking at it, and I think that really helped because it gave it a vision. And what we were saying too is, even if people watch this and they don't enjoy it, like we were saying earlier, which is bound, that's inevitable, you would hope that somebody would at least say it has a vision. It's not cynically made where it's like,
we just said, let's fucking write a script where they go, hey, Pim, you want to smoke weed? Fuck you fucking, you asshole. It's like they're mean to each other. They say, hey, let's get some hookers. Let's go to a donkey show, Pim. It's like we didn't want to do
donkey.
We didn't want to do. I'm throwing shade at Clerks too for no reason, but you know what I mean. You understand what I'm saying.
We also went in knowing like hoping, I guess that. Well, I guess hoping is the wrong word, but pretend we weren't going to have a season 2. Like there was going to be nothing more but this season. So it was like, all right, let's just put it all in this. So like, even if that's why we're being like a bit like hard on ourselves on it. It's like, dude, like even if we get cancelled after this or whatever, like at least we can be proud of one season. That was,
and we had the same logic with the pilot. The pilot was like, this is the only episode we get to do. Let's make it as best as we can make it. Get all, try to get as much out. And I think we will continue to have that mentality if we do more episodes. We talk about it all the time. The whole goal, against the goal, it's not a promise, but the goal would be, if we do any more, we want it to get better. Like I love watching shows get better and try to top themselves and change it up. I think it's important to, even if something, like I said, it doesn't come out the way you want it, which there's a million reasons for. Like, again, maybe there's a small budget. Maybe you have really talented people and you have a small budget and you just can't, get more money. But it is I think it's imperative to have some kind of top-down thing and not let it be total disarray.
Because you can tell when shows or a project doesn't have that. You can tell when people don't care, like at the top, because it all trickles down. It's like that. You kind of need to be just like, no, like, I don't care, like, if it's hard or if blah, blah, it's got to just make it to the end. If it doesn't have that, the whole thing suffers for it. So it is pretty transparent. Like, I think, like, a lot of the show, like, the best things that succeed do have that, like, person at the top that has that vision and is like, can be a bit of a hard ass maybe, but like and really the worst stuff is just like, it's a committee. It's like, oh, I don't know, like who's in charge of this? Like, let's just all throw out a million ideas and get a compromise. Like that's when you get like the real mediocre shit.
Yeah. James Cameron is notorious for that with his films. He's like completely crazy. Everybody who works on that film, just whatever it is, just want to die.
An Ed Wood
then
movie
he ends up making great
like,
stuff.
Even an Ed Wood movie is like more, I guess I respect it more than just like some trash that like Hollywood would produce where it's like just throwing together like this director with this writer. It is made with hate.
It's made with hate. And I'll tell you why. Something that's made with hate is literally where you're designing a fucking camel bite committee where you're literally going in and going, well, what are the kids like? Well, they like that. Yeah. That really, I know it's so cliche and everyone dogs on Hollywood. It's not like, it's not.
Dude, it's not cliche because they don't learn from it. Hollywood does not. They know the cliche. There's shows that make fun of that cliche and they still go, that's funny. Anyway, let's how do we get the kid, they think of all the markets? It fails every time. Yeah, every 100%. Time that fails, dude. It's like,
but I think they're terrified that anybody with a camera or like a Cintiq can go make something, I'm sure it's been said before, but I think that's probably one of the best things out there. And they will literally, if Hollywood could recreate, if they could in a laboratory make The Simpsons but new, they would do it. They just can't. Like if they really
make like
had
10 a day, they'd get a robot to make like 10 a day if they knew the code, if they knew the information to do it.
Absolutely. And this is the last thing we'll say to just kind of put a button on the whole topic of top down and all this stuff is I think another thing that like it's easy to talk tough beforehand and go, if I fucking made a show, if I was working on a show, it wouldn't be this crap. But realizing you actually have to tell somebody that something needs to be redone or changed, not because it's bad necessarily, but just like, look, we thought of a funnier scene. This has to get reboarded. Having to tell somebody that is like painful. And so it makes 100, you become friends with the people you're working with. So to have somebody, to go to somebody and say like, this needs to be redone, or we need to do this or this, that's a really hard thing to do. And so it makes complete sense why even if you have really talented people kind of at the bottom or doing kind of, you have a really talented editor, you have a really talented voice actor, whatever, it needs to come from the top, because if the top-down thing is not a consolidated vision, you have a bunch of talent kind of randomly scattered with no vision. And I'm being sort of redundant now. But
but like, and you're absolutely right. And as long as the crew, like, and the like, whoever's running it are on the same page, it's like you could be like a background artist that's like having a horrible day, but then it's like, all right, at least it's going to something I believe in, like that's how you get the best team together, like, and that's something we'll learn for the following seasons, just, it's good to, I mean, the pandemic made it hard because we're all remote, but we really just want to know our team like really well, and we're all on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, we had a great team. I do want to say we had a great team. But we just had there was like learning curves we had to get, and like just it was hard. Like it was a hard experience.
Yeah, when we talk about the difficulties, it wasn't because like a person was fucking up. It was just because we had a budget and we had a schedule and we had a bunch of stuff we wanted to do, and it's just like
it was
reality.
The first season, it was new. It was a very very interesting process.
Well, yeah, you did assemble an incredible team. A lot of people worked on the show that I think a lot of people listening, recognize, and we're excited to see them in the credits. We have to get to our patrons' questions, but I have one really, really quick one before we get, because we have like 1 billion questions from our patrons.
You're so good.
But there's one that I need to know that's kind of a weird one, and that is the kissing. There's a lot of kissing. Why is there so much kissing? And which one of you thinks kissing is so funny?
Zach and I had a little like premiere night the other night. Which some friends watched it, and someone pointed that out. They're like, "There's a lot of kissing in this show." I was like, "Oh yeah, I never noticed. I actually never really did."
It's so funny.
I don't know
some stuff people go like, "Oh, you guys must have like some stuff we really did methodically plan for, and nobody has even noticed it." And other stuff like that, people are like, "Oh, you must have planned." It's like, no, but I think it works out because when you watch the whole season, it's really mostly Pim who does a lot of the kissing, which makes it's kind of a character thing now.
Yeah, it's definitely a Pim character
because he kisses Desmond in the first episode. On the cheek, he kisses the bird, he kisses his dad, he kisses
harmless kisses too.
They're sweet,
very nice.
There's the salt and pepper kissing each other.
Salt and pepper kiss.
Salt and pepper kiss. Who else kisses? Surely there's someone else.
Yeah, well, that's still a lot of kissing for an 11-minute show. Yeah.
I just didn't know if that was a thing that you guys were like, kissing is really funny.
No, kissing something quickly. Kissing something
quick. He kisses the bird super quick. He kisses Desmond quick. Like something about that is just like funny to look.
I would say that's kind of what you call it. When I hate, like a motif. But another one that's like that is the hands coming at the camera. Like that's something. Yeah. It's less like that's a specific like, oh, you guys are repeating a joke. To me, that's more like a theme. Like just for some reason, people just throw their hands in the camera in this world. And they also just tend to kiss each other a lot. It's just a weird. I don't know. It's like why do South Park characters fart all the time? But it's interesting because seeing those comments kind of made me go, oh yeah, I guess we not artificially, but it would be good to. Like that's just part of his character now, so I think you can look forward to some more.
Hands coming towards the camera too thing is kind of we'd always joke about like the POV thing, like you're at a party and it's like, dude, what like you just blacked out and you just like hit that woman over the head with a hammer. It's like, oh my god, like we'd joke about that kind of stuff. We joked about like something like Pim like grabbing onto someone and then like the POV thing. That's why the hands go close to the camera and stuff because it's like imagining it like it's coming from your eyes, like you're the character there. It's just like there's something so terrifying about that.
There's also something really there's also something really fucking what's the word I'm looking for? Like
it's like coming through
it invades your space.
It's like fourth wall breaking. Like it's
you're watching a cartoon and they fucking like grab you. Like, oh my god! They should have got. You're not supposed to get that close. You're supposed to. Anything we could do where you have. Yeah, it's almost like a jump scare. But there's a little bit like even Mr. Frog running at the camera. It's almost kind of a jump scare. I don't know. We like that.
It's a fake out too because it's like, oh, it's not scary. It's just a green. It's like stupid. It's like
if anybody gets scared by it's like you feel like an idiot if you kind of get scared by it. Like,
don't be like fucking hell. Like I can't believe they got me.
What is the character that does that during the hallucination scene with Mr. Boss?
Oh,
is it like a Mr. Peanut? Who is that?
That's Warren Buffett. The Peanut, I don't know. That's a Zach original. Because Zach was like saying this is Peanut character, and I was like, oh yeah. And then he was like, oh, but like this is there's like a real Peanut cartoon. I was like, what are you talking about? And apparently, there's Peanuts in America that have a little character.
Mr.
On the top.
Peanut, yeah, he's ripped off.
We don't have that, so I thought it was. Like just came out of nothing, but yeah.
I just love the idea of the aristocratic. Yeah, there you go. There's all three. Oh, you want another fun fact?
Oh yeah, Reagan.
This is Ronald Reagan. There, that scene was originally Warren Buffett. It was basically the exact same scene. I think line for line, but instead of Reagan, it was the actual Steve-O.
Steve-O, yeah.
But the problem was we wanted to.
It was also too slow. Like it was like
I
think it was like that thing of like contracts are. Talking to his agents, blah blah blah. It's like we're going into animation. It's like, dude, we need to get the voice, and then we just
it was
like, let's just make it Ronald Reagan.
Well, it also actually makes sense because I think it was also a late edition that it was even like he's going crazy. That was like a late edition as well, so it actually made sense as you're watching it. Like Warren Buffett's still alive, so that he would be there. Jason Peanut, whatever the fuck his name is, that's like
Jason Peanut? That's Mr. Peanut's real name?
We called him Jason. I don't know what.
No, Zach. Isn't his father Jason Peanut, like the original, like the president? Like
you're right. Yeah, one of the Rest in Pieces is his father, I think. But anyway, so you've got, it's like he's Jeremy Peanut. He's Jason Peanut the second. Anyways. You have Warren Buffett there.
He has a real name. His proper name is Bartholomew Richard Fitzgerald Smith.
Wait, what? Where's the Peanut?
What are you talking about? Where's that say?
That's Mr. Peanut's real name.
I had no idea.
Bartholomew Richard Fitzgerald Smith.
Where's
Mr. Peanut
somewhere?
Where's the Peanut in that last name?
There's no Peanut.
It's not. There is no Peanut.
I think it's Smythe.
He's a liar?
I think it's Smythe spelled that way too. Like he's a proper aristocrat.
Oh,
he
it's
really
Smythe?
is.
Oh,
I think so.
Classic Smythe.
Bartholomew Richard Fitzgerald Smythe. That's a handle, isn't it?
It's very royalty.
Yeah.
Wasn't that Peanut designed by a
Mr. Peanut's
child?
old
Isn't that true that Mr. Peanut was designed by like a 10-year-old in a competition or something?
Is that true? Like a competition thing?
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, it was like design the crazy Peanut.
Design the Peanut character.
Design the Peanut, and somebody went
Peanut.
bananas and just designed that.
Yeah, I'd never heard of it, but he does look cool. I was going to say too. Has anyone noticed that that's Warren Buffett as the
people? He was on Wikipedia. He was on Wikipedia as financial advisor.
Financial
I
advisor.
knew it was Warren Buffett.
Yeah.
I knew it was him.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was obviously Warren Buffett, Ronald Reagan, and then this horrifyingly deranged Mr. Peanut. But I wasn't sure what you were going for there. Maybe it was a reference I didn't understand.
No, it is just we want to bring that character. I think he's a character in the world. I think he's like a tycoon. Oh, in fact, there's another interesting thing. He says he got in trouble for putting pesticides in his peanuts, and Charlie's grandma died from a peanut. Charlie mentions it, so maybe he'll come back around. He's some kind of he's putting crap in the food still. We'll have to explore that character more. But really, he's supposed to just represent psychosis, like in the boss losing his mind.
Wait, you're telling me that Mr. Peanut is the one that killed Charlie's grandmother?
Potentially, I mean, it's just possible because he says I put pesticides in the peanuts that killed.
So Charlie could find that out. He's friends with the boss, so I guess he could have a confrontation with him at some point.
Boss, let me to him, bring me to him. I need to kick his ass.
No.
Nope.
You don't know how. You don't know how personal.
He's the client.
For me.
This is the thing. He's the client that the smiling friends need to make smile, and Charlie finds out that he's actually the murderer.
In his eyes.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Charlie, you have to do this, Pim. I gotta go. I don't care. Pim, I gotta walk out of this one. It's like the big dramatic episode.
But the Peanut, see, we need to help him. We need to help him smile.
Pim, I can't do it. I can't do this one. Big dramatic, big epic music playing, movie music.
That's cool. Yeah, that could be somewhere.
Matt, do you want to attempt to get through these patron questions?
We got to do this.
All right.
And first, I just want to thank all the people who have jumped in to be patrons in the last few days. It's really amazing. So a bunch of people have been sticking with us for a very long time, and they all know that this show happens every week because of that support. I got Kevin to stop spending the Patreon money on Beanie Babies. And once that happened, we could put more money into the show. But we really do. Literally every dollar goes into making more of these. And Gunga, Uberansi, Siege Evans, Antomo, Atrocious Guff, Spiny, Ozeal, Absolute Chad, Donk, Ducky, who's there every morning. And also a bit of a long username. The world is ending and I'm late for work popped up with a masterful donation, and we just love this. I mean, it's awesome to see people enjoy the show and want a bit more of it. So thanks to everybody who does all of that and submitted 700 questions, which we're gonna try to rapid fire here. The first one is from Ben, the intrepid producer, who did record the Rust gameplay for the episode.
Michael. That was all Michael.
I recorded that, yeah. I think Zach was doing some actual work, and I was like, I'm just going to play some Rust.
Well, what's great, too, I don't think he was pointing this out. It's very subtle, but Michael even went so far as to, number one, we tried to really, really hardest match. Michael tried his hardest to match, and he did really well, match the what Satan's actually doing on his keyboard compared to what the, relative to what the character's doing.
It was like Foley. I played it while watching Satan
But when that part where Satan goes off and he freaks out and he hits the table, there's a very subtle, but there's a little mount. The game actually moves up and down.
The game shakes because I did slam my hand on the table and my little mouse moves. So the Rust game.
If you go back and watch that, you'll notice that's
the kind of care we put into this.
Yeah.
This is one that I had too. It's from Blakenator. What's the story behind 3D Squelton?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Zach, that was purely, I think I remember it was like pure stress. It was because, I think that was in script. That wasn't later, but like, I think we were just at a bad headspace around that time. I think that just came from like, just
yeah,
like
that's
stress.
A lot of some funny stuff that was born out of stress, but that was the Frowning Friends episode. And that was one of those things where we knew we wanted to have him, Pim and Charlie run into a few different characters. And I had designed a 2D drawing where it looks actually, this is one of the great things about working with really talented people that do stuff that you would have never even thought of. I did a crappy design of that guy sitting there. And I said, there's a 2D version of it. It'd be actually interesting if we could put that out sometime, just to do them side by side. Because my drawing was not that detailed or crazy. It was just kind of a simple drawing.
Do you remember there was a point we're going to make it like his name was going to be 3D Squelton, but he was going to be 2D, and like that was the joke.
That's right.
It was like, that's probably not that funny.
And yeah, exactly. And so we had Chris O'Neill. We brought him on for some 3D, and he got somebody who's very talented by the name of Ash Dickens, who collaborated, did a lot of the Satan stuff, and did I think all the 3D Squelton stuff. And somebody else actually animated, but 3D Squelton, yeah. They sent us a version where because I drew the nose kind of like a Bobby Hill nose on the 2D drawing, where it's kind of, you're just seeing the nostrils, and who else is drawn? It's almost drawn the same way Sharpina's nose is drawn, or like how Pim and Sharpina's baby is drawn in that flashback, the infant. It's kind of got that Bobby Hill kind of a face. Anyway, so she kind of did a flatter interpretation of that, and then made it like projected the face forward. It wasn't what we designed, but we were like, that's it a million times funnier. And all the detail, weird like fucking tendons and details on the face. So that was something we were not like going, it's going to look exactly like this and it's going to be funny. That was just like, here's a stupid design. And the artist brought it completely to life. And then subsequently, even after that, it was another conversation with the animator, Phil. Oh, forgive me for blanking on his name. Phil.
What was his last name?
We're sorry, Phil. Please find the credits. Phil Jennings.
Phil.
Yeah, Phil Jennings. Yeah, he did a lot of compositing stuff. He was on us till the very end. He was such a talented guy. He totally helped bring us over the end. But anyways, he's the one that animated 3D Squelton. And there was even a big conversation about, there was 2 tests we got sent back of just the poses, where you're just kind of going from what you call pose to pose. So basically, not even basically, no in-between animation. It was like his hands are up, and then immediately his hands are down. And then there was another version of that same thing where there was actually in-betweens. And we said,
it was funnier. It was funnier just pose to pose for some reason.
It's funnier because he's so detailed that it actually works.
It was scary. It was like he's moving that quickly and you couldn't even see like the in-between. It was like, holy fuck.
Exactly. And on top of that, we were like, well, Satan's also 3D, and he comes in the next episode anyways. We don't want that to compete with that. And it just felt right. But anyways, that's all the trivia. That's the 3D Squelton. Yeah.
You mentioned putting a bunch of different elements together, and The World is Ending asked about integrating all the different mediums like 3D animation and live action. How's that process play out?
That was a discussion we had really early. Like, that was something we always wanted the show to have, like just multi kind of like mixed media vibe, like 3D characters and like live action. For the live action stuff, I have no idea like how to comp or do anything like that, but it was relatively simple-esque for just like the salty stuff, right? Zach, you'd say like that's just like, him going to kiss the salt and pepper, like all that's just like on a green screen.
That was a lot more ambitious actually originally too. We originally wanted to do a reverse Roger Rabbit, although
it'd be more involved, and that's the kind of thing where like you'd have to do like really like intricate camera shots, and like that's when you're kind of having to marry animation and live action in a way where it's way more planned. But yeah, it was just too much. It was way too much work, basically.
Yeah. Real quick one then from World is Ending. Have you seen any of your characters Rule 34'd yet?
Not only have I seen, is there other types of fan art that I'm just like, I've seen a lot of people, Charlie, fucking and sucking each other, and I think I even saw Al getting fucked and sucked on.
Jesus Christ.
But I don't know, but it seems like that's I mean, people draw the little South Park character. I don't, I don't get it, but it's interesting that somebody would watch the show and have their reaction of wanting to see him get fucking sucked. But sorry, Michael just wanted to say, I agree. Oh, thanks, Michael.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Hey, Michael, for the last part, you beat me and I'll beat you.
Wait, okay,
sorry. Lightning round. Next question.
This sucks. This is not good. This is not good. Not good podcast.
Next question from Tom Videoger. How was it working with David Firth with Shrimp?
It was amazing. He did a great job.
He's a pro.
Yeah. Michael reached out to him and he sent a bunch. He sent like 2 or 3 of every takeover, and it was fucking hysterical. And actually, awesome. Very quick little thing about that character. We had the idea for a really long time about a shrimp. Like, we had the rough idea. Okay, Charlie tries to help, like, you know, for lack of a better term, like man up the shrimp or get him to become the alpha, like how he views himself. But we didn't know what the shrimp sounded like, so we couldn't really write for him. We were like, well, you need a voice to write for something. Like, when we wrote the pilot, we had the voice of Desmond in mind. So that was, you could just, as your character, write the thing. And then when we said, oh, what about David Firth? We matched it with that design. The whole episode just rolled out. It's one of my favorite characters.
Especially the Jerry Jackson voice that he does. Like, that's already a voice he does on these other cartoons. It's really funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's see. Oh, okay. So Dan the Latch asked about the beginning of the process. What was the critical moment that made Smiling Friends a reality? And is there one thing that somebody can do, that they should do, when they pitch a show or a project?
Oh, that's a really good question. I don't know if there's a singular moment, but I would say absolutely keep refining your skills as much as you can. A lot of people tend to rush too quickly into collaboration, and I understand it. I've spent my whole, career, whatever you want to call it, collaborating with voice actors and background artists and additional animators, and so on. So, and compositors, effects people. So I think collaborating is good, but you want to be able to make as much as you can on your own from there, and then collaborate with people and find a way and just keep doing it. I mean, nobody gets it on their first try. I'm 28 now. I started pitching, Hellbenders, other things when I was like 22. No, sorry, younger. I was 19, I think, when I first pitched something. So
wow.
And Michael's the same way. Michael's been putting his own stuff out there, talking to people. It's the networking thing is a little bit overblown, but it's absolutely good when you're going to pitch to just view it as you're pitching yourself. You're pitching yourself as somebody that they're going to want to work with. Absolutely, the worst thing I'll say is do not go in and say, yeah, this is my show. And it's these are all my OCs I've had since I'm 10 years old. And there's a 25 season arc and there's 7 movies. They're going to go, you're insane. What are you talking? Why do you need us for? You should go in, be willing to work together, but also know where your boundaries are. So maybe you'll say, oh, that's a good note. Like, we actually got notes, by the way, the note about the paperclip in the pilot when he says, what do you think when Alan's counting? Glepp, did you take a paperclip? Originally, in I think even in the boards, the Blibbly then later on stabs Alan with the in his finger with a little dagger. And I think it was an Adult Swim. I think it was Walter Newman that said, like, hey, can we see the paperclip thing come back? It was such a little note, but we incorporated that. It was like, oh, that's a smart little thing. So don't be afraid to listen to advice and be willing to work together, but also know what makes your project work. Also know what makes your IP worth defending and what makes it good in the first place, and keep making stuff. Worst case scenario is you never get picked up, but then, hey, now you're an online artist that has all these people that are willing to support you financially and do all these things. So gun for that, try to do that, but also build up an online audience, refine what you're going to want to do. And Michael, do you have anything to tag on?
Just don't be no, I think you covered everything there. I'll just say don't be scared of failure too. Like, I've got a lot of friends that I guess like their thing is like, oh, but what if it like sucks? What if it's like shitty? It's like, dude, you can't think of it like that, because you're inevitably probably going to make something that's not going to hit the audience as much as like your previous stuff. Like, that was the thing with Quentin Tarantino's Death Proof. Like, he said, like, even though the response to that, it was like, it wasn't bad, it just wasn't as good as these other movies. Like, he said that was like a breakup for him, like seeing how the fans reacted to that. You could be scared of that your whole life and then not make anything, but I think it's just don't be scared of like making something shitty, because you can always learn from it. You just learn from it and make something better next time.
Well, just to like I completely agree. And also the last thing I'll say about that is, the one spectrum is people that are like will just pump shit out and don't have any regard for quality, and then the opposite end is everything has to be 100% perfect, 10 out of 10, or I can't release it. The middle ground is make stuff and get better. And if you're afraid of the burn of somebody going, well, that wasn't funny or that wasn't good, you have to feel that. That's just welcome. I guess welcome to even And then from there you can go. You know what? I got better because you realize what was wrong. So if you're going into every project and actually wanting to make something and get it done and release it and get feedback, but you also have that voice in your head that says, I want this to be as good as I can make it within a reason, you need that voice, and you also need to have the ability to try to, release something, I guess.
You touched on 2 questions here, so that's makes things a little bit easier. Kudos asked about Hellbenders, because you mentioned that. Was there anything about working on the Hellbenders pilot that helped you when it was time to deal with Smiling Friends?
Oh yeah, I'd say in a lot of ways. Well, number one, I think that was both Chris and my first experience with doing anything longer than like 4 or 5 minutes. I mean, we had planned out a bunch of stuff. We planned out a lot of stuff for that. Like to go back what we were saying, we didn't pitch a movie, but we had a bunch of ideas that we're going to use. And so that was interesting to just try to make something that was, a 10-minute cartoon. And even the pilot that got leaked out there, I'm glad people got a chance to see it, but even that would not have been the final product. It would like with Smiling Friends and like with Michael's stuff that he did before he met me, and that is just something that you tend to do is you have a big thing that's a little bit longer, a little bit more rough, and then you trim it down and you shape it up, and that becomes a thing. So that way, that was good to learn. But then also just having the sting of like rejection and just going, oh man, like this was something, even if you're super into something, having someone else step into your world and go like, no, it's not, just for whatever reason, it ain't going to work. And then I think the biggest realization that I ever had that really, really helped me was I wasn't like fucking like miserable, but I was, pretty down. I was like, that sucks. And you don't want to let go of a project if you have a lot of characters and ideas. But I basically said to myself, well, if that's the only good idea, and that was collaborative, so it wasn't just my idea, that was Chris and my idea, but I basically said, if I only have one good idea, and I can't do anything that ever tops that, then I shouldn't be even doing this to begin with. And once I realized that it's okay to sometimes throw stuff out and start from scratch, and just Michael and I learned that too. With Smiling Friends, is a whole process developing the show, and just being able to step back and go, what if we just kind of rethink this for 2 seconds? It's a little bit scary. I know we put a lot of work into this one version of the show. What if we just pull it out? And so often you'll go, oh God, that is like way better. So I've learned that like basically every time in my experience that I've been working on something, and you can feel it, there's a nugget there, but it's not falling there. And you step back or you walk away or whatever, or you sit on it and you think about it and you just change perspectives a lot of time, and you let stuff go. You have to be willing to let stuff go, and also knowing what to fight for. But that to me was my biggest learning experience. And I'm sure Michael and I talk about what we learned a lot of parallels. I think these are just things you learn as you do it enough. But yeah, don't afraid to throw stuff away and start from scratch. You will definitely think of something better at some point.
Jelksies, who's been one of our supporters since the earliest days, just wanted to point this out. He said, my sister just walked in and I forgot I had Smiling Friends porn up. So things are going badly for him tonight. But
my God.
Ducky's question was really about what Zach was just talking about. How do you stop being your worst critic and feel satisfied with something enough to put it out there, whether it's something that's on a Newgrounds account, something small, you don't have an audience yet, or something like Smiling Friends showing up on TV. How do you just get to the point where you're okay with throwing it out there?
Michael, you want to take that one?
You usually give yourself, it's like usually not happy when you put it out. It's like you give yourself a deadline. At least I do a lot of the times with that kind of stuff. I think it's you just get a vision, you make it, and then like when you're watching it at the end, you're just like, all right, I think I forgot to like color in that arm on that frame, blah blah blah. Like, is this still funny? Like, you just kind of, I at least with me, I release stuff knowing, like, kind of being like, oh, I wish I could have redone this a little bit, but I guess I've got to put it out. It does have to be forced out of your hands at some point. So what's that George Lucas thing? Like, projects aren't finished; they're only abandoned, or whatever that is. Like that's how that's how it feels.
Yeah. I think the most crucial point into making something is that if you basically have a shitty idea and you're not that into the idea, but you're like, oh, I'll just make some, that it basically, if you feel like you're tethered down to completing a shitty idea, you're going to make a shitty thing. So I almost feel like it's like 80% of the effort should go into that initial idea. You know, I mean, figuratively speaking, you're going to do a lot more work after the idea phase. But if you really feel like the foundation of it is strong and you're confident in the foundation, go with it. If you're not confident in the foundation, stay on it. One of the other things I've learned over time is a lot of people will say, you know, and it sometimes can be, but a lot of people say it's good to, if you're stuck on an idea or a problem and you don't know how to get out of something, people will say like, oh, just don't think about it. Just, or like, you know, come back in a month. I think that's not great advice. In my experience, the hybrid advice is obsess over it as much as you can, but change what you're doing. So go for a walk, take a shower, but still be thinking about it. I swear to God. Yeah. And Michael and I learned that literally every time we just said, no, let's just like just do this and just stay here and stay in the silence. We cracked it every single time. But sometimes if you jump out of a headspace and you come back to something like, wait, what was you're like relearning it. So if you're in a room and you're just kind of sitting there, and I'd also recommend writing with a partner, even if they're not like the co-person, I would recommend that just because it's good to get other advice. Have somebody to bounce something off of and just give you, real feedback. And that's just going, oh yeah, that's great. That's what was great about, yeah. It was great to have people telling us, oh, I like this part. And it's just good to get feedback.
Yeah. And yeah, like giving deadlines too, like you have to get it done. It's like, oh fuck, we really have to get it done.
Try to make it as best you can, but just fucking get it done. And make sure that an original idea is good. I think you'll be all good to go.
Yeah, don't make it like a 30-year magnum opus where it's like, I must get this perfect.
It will literally never be
released.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will never make
what
a
I
perfect
think
movie.
I think I heard someone talking about this about making music. It's like because so like you make an album and it's like, oh, I want it to be my magnum opus, but like just the best way to think of it is like, all right, my magnum opus is the one after this one. So I'll do this one as like, mate, there can be shitty parts, well, not shitty parts, but like, just don't like,
just get it done. Get it done.
And then then you can do the big, crazy, whatever you want to do. You can always do something else afterwards every time.
And also it's absolutely true that you do get better as you get experience. So if you're not getting experience and you're hoping to get better just in a vacuum, I guess you could technically read, it's like that speech that that Robin Williams gives to what's his face in
Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting. He's like, you could show me what the 16 chapter looks like, but you don't know the smell of it. It's like that really is it. You can be a cartoon nerd and read every story, but you got to just make it. You have to have the hands-on, the griminess of it to really know how to get better.
Because there's two different mindsets, right? So the creativity part's like the la 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 la, coming up with funny stuff. Then like making it is like that's like using a different part of your brain. So you could almost treat it like, all right, now put on the laborer hat, just get it done, just like finish it, and then it's like, oh, okay, like that. But that is hard to kind of compartmentalize those two mindsets for sure.
Well, the Kino Corner noticed that the season was just peppered with references, Bakshi, Rankin and Bass on the Enchanted Forest episode, and just lots of movie, TV references. What was the one that you were really happy that you could incorporate into the season?
Probably Mip, right? What do you reckon?
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I'm just thinking about it. Yeah, I think Mip, just because. So, like, if you're an animator and you really understand, I'm not saying you have to be an animator, but if you're an animator and you really understand, like, go back and just, even if you're not an animator, go back and look at the episode, put it on mute. Just look at Mip. That, exactly what we got, like, framed by if you had taken that exact thing and said to another adult animated show, we have to do something that looks exactly like this thing from the 70s, it probably wouldn't have looked like as close because you would have had to find people. And even if it did, it would have cost $1 million fucking dollars. I mean, it would have been crazy. The fact that we were able, and I say the fact that Harry Partridge specifically said yes, and he got that great team together, and he put the hours, he killed himself to do that, and it turned out so good. That, to me, I'm just proud that we even got something like that in a television show, but I'm really, really proud that we got something like that in a low budget television show where that would have been hard to do in a $2 million. That would have been like a whole thing. So we had a whole team for that. That felt like that should have gone really, really, really bad. Like, essentially what I'm saying is there are so many realities. If you just played the show out over and over in a million infinite realities, that looked like shit in because Harry didn't animate it, or because we didn't have a good team, or we didn't have enough money, that looked like shit in probably 1/3 or half of the realities. The fact that we were able to nail that, and the fact that he said yes, and the fact that that team did that on the budget and the schedule we had, to me is insane. I'm really...
also so proud that it was Harry Partridge too. It's like it wasn't some it was like a studio guy that we didn't know. There was it was like someone that also was from YouTube doing the same stuff we did. All felt really. I loved that about the show, that it was like a bunch of kind of friends and coming from the same kind of background. It's cool.
And he really cared. I mean, really, when we talked to him, the attention to detail and like the hands, the little secondary, he would ask us questions like, hey, well, I'm animating this segment. Logistically in the boards, he pulls this thing up from here, but that doesn't make, we're like, I mean, he really, really, beyond the actual accomplishment of that being in the episode and being really good and landing, the amount of care put into it blows my mind. And I'm glad that even got to, go on television. And the last thing I'll say is, like how many times have you been watching a cartoon or even a live action show and you're going, oh, they're trying to parody this. Like, I know what they're trying to, sorry, not even parody, but they're trying to replicate this thing. Oh, they're trying to recreate this, but it's like lackluster. You're watching going, well, they just didn't do it. So like, it's actually pointless. And our view is, well, if it's a bad version of this, if it doesn't look like it, why even do it? So the fact that landed is, I just have to reiterate, great job to everyone who did all that. And also the stop motion and other things were
stop motion.
Stop motion to me is that's a close second, because that was also that was giving a real stop motion artist who really built the set like fucking Wallace and Gromit, and hand by hand, frame by frame with his hands over hours, did all that, and that's composited onto it. And I think that was awesome too.
Mm-hmm.
Egg's got a quickie. Who came up with the in loving memory parts at the end of episodes?
Why did we do that, Zach? I know it was just I'm sure that sounds very Zach to me.
I think what it was
I think it was making fun of Adam for a sec. Like it was just like a joke. Why did we do? I can't remember. I have no memory of why we did that.
I want to say, here's what I don't know. I don't know what came first, because I want to say what happened was the original credit music that we used for the temp was "When You're Smiling" by
that's right. Yeah,
Louis Prima, I think. When You're Smiling, that's a great song. But my point is, we had that was in all the way to the very end of the pilot, and then Chris O'Neill did the credits music. I was gonna say though, I don't know, because at the very end there's like that weird fucking like foghorn, like so that might have come from us hearing that and going, well, what do we put for the last credit? And yeah, there was a point maybe like 3 or 4 years ago where we were just like photoshopping like I photoshopped Michael a few times. We photoshopped our friend Adam Paloyan, who is in that first episode, and it was like, well, why not put these somewhere? So,
I think it was that. It was a lot of that, like that photoshopping. Remember, like there was one of me that was like, I died from weed, and I was like a 36-year-old man that we put online, like that.
Yeah, the rest in peace from episode 2 for Mr. Frog, where it's like that's Michael.
That was a really old picture.
Yeah. That's probably from 2018.
Yeah.
And it's like Michael's head dented. So that was like floating around my computer for a long time. Michael's shaved head, and he's got like a big. But anyways, yeah. Also, this is the last thing I'll say to you. For people that are curious, episode 1 is Adam Paloyan. Episode 2 is Michael. I'm talking about the rest in peace. Episode 3 is Smormu. Episode 4 is Brent Caulfield, who did all the music, or did a giant, massive chunk of the music.
As an alien.
As a weird alien. Episode 5 is Perry Caravello, obviously, and he's salty. Episode 6 is actually, no one's got it yet. It's Abed Geith, who weirdly, who we know. He's like a friend of ours.
Dude, I know him, and I couldn't get it.
Yeah, because what happened was that picture was taken at a diner in Burbank where he's in front of a bunch of pies. And he's not an obese guy, but we just bloated his face ridiculously and called him like a doctor. So that's Abed, who actually, he's got an IMDb. I think I've never seen Community, but I'm positive that the
character's based on him.
The character Abed's based on him. I don't think they're very similar, but that's
awesome.
Based on Abed. Or that is Abed. Sorry. 7 is Tom Fulp, that weird black and white one. And what happened there was he's got chimpanzee eyes over the top of his eyeballs. Just like, which I just stole from Star Wars, the original Palpatine, before they I'm talking about the original. Anyways, and then finally episode 8 is dear Mike Cowap,
who's our producer,
who
he was a lieutenant, and he died courageously.
He dies in 3 years. So.
Yeah.
Anyways, That's that.
Let's see. Well, you had all these people in mixed into episodes. This is from World's Ending. Who was your favorite that you worked into the episodes?
Oh man,
Gilbert Godfrey was pretty.
Yeah, Gilbert Godfrey was great.
Cool.
Chills was a funny one because I like cameos where it is just one and done, and excuse me. Like I think you could watch that even if you don't know who Chills is. You would either not even register it as a joke, or you would because you just say, oh, that's an interesting voice. And if you do know what it is, maybe you laugh a little bit harder. And that's kind of how we tried to do we really tried to make sure that we were not just referencing for the sake of referencing, and that it feels like it's built into the world and there's a whole thing to it. So yeah, I would say for both of those reasons, I think Gilbert Gottfried or Chills. What I'll say as well is I'm really impressed by how the guest voice actors that voiced, especially the side characters, all really came to life with a bit like characters like Desmond and Shrimp, and even like Simon Salty. It works. It really works. It doesn't feel cynical or like, oh, here's a person you know. Because I think you could watch the pilot and not even know who Mike Seclass is. I think you could watch the Shrimp episode and not even know who David Firth is. And I think you would enjoy those characters and say their voices and their personalities match the design. So I'm really happy with what a great job they all like knocked out of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned Desmond. Uberancy has a question about that, about drawing the old people with lots of weird little details and wrinkles like Desmond. Was there a character that was really tough to make work? Was it hard to bring it to where you needed it to be?
I think it was Zach drew that one, and we kind of just had that Aykroyd mindset where we knew he wasn't going to be animated super detailed and lots of frame by frame. So the fact he was detailed was fine because it's like, so
it wasn't 3D
hard.
sculpting. Yeah, it's a 3D sculpting where it's like, well, the design kind of makes up for it, and it's funnier. Like anytime we can do something that looks crappy but is also actually funny, there's some parts that happen really quick in the show that we definitely had the budget for, but we just thought it was funnier that they moved quickly. But yeah, in terms of the designs, I don't know if there was a design in particular that was like a nightmare. I will say it was very interesting as the show went on, as we were like designing stuff, we got to do a rhythm of it for sure. And I think the boss probably was the most difficult on a pure technical level, because with Desmond, you see him from a few different angles. I think every time you see him in the pilot, Desmond from a different angle, that was something that I drew or I at least like redlined, because I was like, this is just going to be so hard. And so the boss was kind of like that, where he basically, all the characters are designed to be seen from an angle. They're designed kind of on purpose to be flat, to be silhouette. So, Charlie is really designed to be a 3/4 character, whereas the boss is designed to be a front-on character, to be looking directly at you. So the times where he his head is looking from the side and looking up and looking down, that was kind of I think we did a good job with it. I think it ended up coming well, but that was kind of a challenge just to go, there's so many times, and it's best specifically in Frowning Friends, which was kind of another reason why that episode was such a nightmare, was just sticking the landing. Just like every episode basically had a, okay, this is the big segment. This is the weird thing. We got to make sure we land it. And landing all of that, like episode 2, episode 1, it just would have been Desmond, just making sure that he's animated properly. The the rotoscope guy. Episode 2 had a bunch of stuff. Also, all the detailed drawings, like getting all that together, I think is really what made it great. And I'm going a little bit off track here, but yeah, the design thing, I would probably say the biggest challenge was the boss, just because he's a main character. And also we realized, well, if we draw a shitty interpretation of what he looks like from some other angle, that's probably going to be immediately pulled from a reference in a future season. If we do more, we're going to have to correct that later. So just like locking that in. And also for the other characters, what do the other characters look like from other angles?
Well, Letterman asked about something, 5 years ago. A while back, you had, there's a server that had a ton of people that were looking for digital work, remote commissions, all sorts of things. Has anybody come from that pipeline that wound up working on Smiling Friends?
No, I don't think so. We did do a big call out though, probably.
You're on Twitter, right?
Yeah, on Twitter, maybe like halfway or 3/4. I mean, between half, like near the end, we
needed more animators.
We needed more animators, and we needed more I think it was mostly animators. I think we found some really great effects people in that. We have a very talented person.
Oh yeah, the person that did all the water and the best effects was from that big call out.
Jen, I apologize again. I forget the last name, but Jen, she did an amazing job with all the water effects. That was the person we kind of found almost. We weren't even looking specifically for an FX person, but they sent the demo reel and just said, "Hey, here's some stuff I've done," and they did. It was a lot of particles and different effects and things like that. So we definitely found people. We absolutely use people that just submitted their application. And what I would say is we come from the internet. We come from send us whatever. We love working with people. We love working with people that are just talented. I do not care about resume for the most part, as long as you get the work done and it's good. And it's, I think our board artists, they weren't seasoned board artists. They were very talented artists and very talented animators. I mean, real sincerely, but they didn't work on some other TV show. So, but that's what made it so great. It was very fresh. And so, we did end up pulling people just kind of that were talented, that we saw, whose stuff we saw. And I'd really like to do that more. We talked about it a lot, like finding people that really like the show, really care about the show, and also are super talented. We're big into pulling people like that, where it feels authentic. It feels like a celebration of animation too. Mm-hmm. We're not in a club. We're not only going to hire people that are XYZ. We'll hire you if we like your stuff.
Yeah, that's why we like it multimedia too. It's just the best kind of it is as Zach said, a love letter to animation. So that's what we want to outdo. Just get the best artists involved. They're on the same page as pushing that kind of stuff is the goal.
We are in the final stretch here, and Conrad asks more about that community, about whether there were any other Newgrounds people or references that you wanted to get in but couldn't.
Yeah, I think there was a bunch of kids. Yeah, we had probably. I mean, Norm Macdonald was probably the biggest one. The two biggest celebrity people we really wanted was Norm Macdonald and Gilbert Gottfried. We did reach out. Yeah, Dan Aykroyd. And Dan Aykroyd is kind of interchange. Even if Dan Aykroyd had done the narrating, the hosting part, actually, we would have gotten Norm Macdonald. And if,
I really like the guy we got too. That
same. We have to give a shout out to him.
Yeah,
his name is obviously. I would never forget it.
Do you have a list in front of you or something?
No, I really don't. But
I was gonna say I can't remember fucking anyone. I'm just not good at names. I'm bad at names.
Neither am I. My biggest fear is when somebody meets me and they go, talk to somebody and go, "Hey, we met 3 times," and I go, "I was probably drunk all 3 times," and I don't. But anyways, I'm sorry. What was the question? Newgrounds people. Yeah. There were definitely. We'd love to get more people in season 2 that feel like a nice, non-cynical range of people that we find interesting or admire or just strange. Absolutely, there's people we want to get.
Yep.
Speaking of the future, Antomo asks about the end game on this, about whether seasonal rot is something that's in the back of your heads, where it's way down the line. But is it something that you think about at this stage about, are you concerned about season 7 as you're working on season 1?
You take it, Zach. I was just going to quickly say that we're always, that thing of trying to outdo us is always on our minds. I don't know if we're not thinking that far ahead, season 7, but we're definitely coming up with ideas where it's that could be season 2, but then you get so many ideas, you're future episodes too. So basically, we're always thinking of episode ideas for future episodes.
We definitely would not want to keep the show going longer. If people started to feel started plateauing, or God forbid, even getting bad, duck out. Our goal, we talk about it all the time. Where our goal with the show would be to make it. We don't know how long. We have no idea, but to make it where ideally it would keep getting better and better and better, and then just fucking end, and maybe do a movie. I mean, that's the total. But we have anything could change. A number of things could change. I'd really love to see a video game. I mean, that's not even that's not anything that's in the works right now. But we talk about that all the time. Too,
a movie.
Yeah. So we definitely have ambitions. We think it could go pretty far. But at the same time, it's to totally be blunt about it. It's absolutely not a show that would ever go on for
a million
bunch
seasons.
Of seasons.
30 seasons.
It would never go on for more than even 10. I think 10 seasons is the ceiling for every single show. It
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how big your ego is, how good you think your show is. Even if it is a 10 out of 10, it's still going to suffer
I think literally every show that's gone on for 10 seasons, every single one, and I'm not saying they haven't made good episodes beyond 10 seasons, but I'm saying 10 seasons is like, you did it. You made the big, you worked for about 10 years. Like we always say, it's like the Beatles were like the 60s.
Yeah, the Beatles is the perfect thing. It's like, wrap it up. It's like, and of course, like there is that chance, you could get better after season 10, but it's just the odds are really stacked against you. Like
and also, is that the creators like diluting themselves? Yes. Like, exactly right. Maybe we do have like the best idea ever for season 11 or something, and it's like, well, that thing, like, just so what? I mean, go put those ideas somewhere else. So
yes,
we talk about that a lot. We're very aware of it, and I think we're very lucky to have been born when we were, because we got to watch it happen. That was not a thing that even happened at all before basically like the 90s, where shows would go on. You had stuff like like soap operas or something, but not in the same way where like Always Sunny, Simpsons, Family Guy, South Park. I'm not even making a hit on any of those shows. I'm just saying those are all shows that have gone on for over 10 seasons. So that's a pretty new thing. So it's interesting to think about and to kind of, talk about, if we had a blank check, how long would we do it for? So the short answer is, yes, we think about it like often, and we want the show to get good and then go away. And hopefully people remember it as, oh yeah, that was the show that was really funny, and then it ended.
That's the quality over quantity is quality over quantity. Yeah, that is right. It's like the kind of that's the same with the episodes too. It's like not doing like 20 episodes a season. Just like eight feels right. Like that for some reason. Like, you don't want to go on for 1 million. It would just get old. People get sick of it.
Well, that's the other advantage of doing 8, by the way, too, is even if we did, like, talking probably a very, very likely situation, but even if a show like Smiley Friends did go on for as long as 10 seasons, that's only 80 episodes. The Simpsons hit episode 100 in like season 3, and you go down the whole list. Then again, I'm not comparing. We're not like any of those shows. I'm just saying that's kind of the logic going into this. We're just being a little bit extra kind of aware of it. I think it helps. It just gives you a good like direction to go.
It also makes you really focus on the episodes and really try to make them like a self-contained quality thing. Like you don't want to make. I think it's like never make like like this is our kind of shitty episode. We'll just like
this is the filler episode.
The filler. Yeah, like there's none of that. Hopefully.
I just looked up Cheers, because that to me when I was a kid was a show that seemed to be on forever. 11 seasons, so they made it one over your 10 bar,
I hate that.
and they
That's
decided.
That drives me nuts. That drives me.
Yeah, I bet they hate that too, though.
Because here's another thing. We talk about seasons. That's a big deal too. Why would you add? That's like ending on season like that drives me nuts.
Yeah,
can't do it.
It was 275 episodes. So the other one I thought of was Annie Griffith, and that ended after 8. But it was 249 episodes.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So even if we did do 10, if we did 10 seasons, it'd be 80 episodes.
Yeah,
it'd be half.
Yeah, that's not that much.
So that's the logic of it, anyways.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned video games. Bradlander asks if you believe the legend of Polybius to be real.
What's so funny about this? I only know that because I've seen it written. I don't know anything about that. That was a gag that was put in by one of the background artists who, I apologize, I'm sure whoever put that reference in knows who they are. I don't know the backstory behind it, to be completely honest with you. I know that name because I've seen people bring it up and go, I thought it was Poly. What is it pronounced? Polybus?
I thought it was Polybius. I don't know. I'm just
I don't know at all. But I need to look into it. But yeah, that is something that Michael and I totally that all 100% of the credit goes to the background artists for that one.
That's cool. This is from Baseweight. What does a kiss on the cheek from Pim feel like?
Honey, milk and honey.
Yeah, nice milk and honey.
Gumdrops and lollies and nice things. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's feel pretty nice.
I think it hurt a lot. He'd be like, he'd release like venom. Yeah.
Release like a rashes there afterwards.
Yeah,
it's like the spit, the fun twin spit.
Twins. Yeah, he sticks his tongue deep. Like it's like a mosquito. He like sticks into his thing
exactly
into your vein.
Like a mosquito.
Exactly, you know what I
mean?
Yeah.
Whoa! And my phone just got hot. Jonas, what are you doing with your life? Dropping an annual sub like that is incredible. That's incredible. I question your judgment, but we appreciate the support. That is wild. Seriously, thank you to everybody who is jumping out for this. Keeps us in business. That's cool. Charles Kahn wants to know your favorite real, weird, or sick video that you've seen online. Now, it's not a coincidence that Charles, Tom Videogre, and Dojangles have a podcast called Real Weird Sickos.
Oh, God. You mean like all internet videos?
That's a big place, isn't it? That's hard to choose one.
What's a good video?
I hate to, this feels like so anticlimactic, but that Chris Chan video of his dad yelling at him, probably my favorite. Now, if you're asking like weird live leak shit, Michael, we found one like maybe like 6 months ago where I've not been able to.
I know the one you're talking about.
I haven't been able to find it since, but it was like, fuck, sorry, I'm sorry. I need to calm down. I need to think of Don Rickles. What's the matter with you? Get a hold of yourself.
Yeah. Why are you laughing? You're laughing.
Stop laughing. Stop laughing. It's not funny. Yeah, but sorry, it was a weird fucking like live leak video, or it was on a crazy shit.
Crazyshit.com, which I do not endorse. We do not endorse. We shouldn't even be saying it. We shouldn't even be bringing it up.
Don't even go there. Don't go there.
Don't look at that.
But here's the deal. So there's a video on that the evil thing that I've not been able to find that I saw that we watched where it's like a Russian what do you
It's like a soldier.
What do you call it?
What was he?
It's like a bunch of Russian soldiers in a what's the word? Why can't
like a bunk thing?
A little bunks everywhere. Clearly it's some kind of thing. I forget the name. I apologize. Anyhow,
dorm. Is it dorm? I don't know. Maybe not.
Barracks. Yeah, barracks. Okay. Anyhow. Anyways, they're all sitting around, and there's a guy filming a Russian dude with a cigarette in his mouth. A soldier, he's got his rifle, or his like automatic weapon beneath his chin, like just resting on it, and he's not even trying to do it, but he ends up pulling the trigger and shooting himself in the head more than one time. He goes, he like holds the fucking trigger, and it puts like 10 holes in his head, and he's alive for like 5 seconds, and he goes, like a movie, he goes, and he like falls over.
No, that was the other guy watching him.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. That was like he falls over.
Oh my God, they found the video. That's it.
Goes,
yeah.
Wash, like some.
Yeah, the guy filming goes.
Why when they scream and like in fucking shock that their friend just got killed?
Michael, I've got to tell you, if I was ever in the barracks with you and you were resting your automatic weapon beneath your chin and you shot yourself in the head 10 times and then went, I wouldn't go. I go.
I really would hope so. I would hope so. Like any other person would.
Also, what was he saying? Was he going, "Oh, brother"? Like, what the fuck was he saying? He just sounded
this
like,
again.
Here we go again.
I knew he shouldn't have given him the gun. Who gave him the gun?
That's the 20th one this week. My God. Yeah, so that video, I don't know, that stuck with me because I don't really, I haven't had the chance to watch this stuff in a little while. So when I saw that, it's also just weird because the guy doesn't die right away. He hangs in the air like a movie. It's like when someone gets sliced in a movie and they just stand there normal and then they slide. Like it was like that. It was like a delayed reaction of like 5 seconds, like a movie.
Like
Anyways,
like a samurai.
Like a samurai. Rest R.I.P. to
that beautiful man. We shouldn't be promoting a death.
That's a real dude.
That's a real man. Man, he had a mother.
Let's see. We got a couple more and then we're good. Demetrius, who, by the way, also popped into patronage a few weeks ago. Thank you for that. You mentioned the standards and practices, that whole process. Do you have more or less sympathy for YouTube because they have to manage the ecosystem in a similar way? Now that you've been right in the middle of it on a specific project, do you feel for them at all, or is it the opposite?
That makes me hate them more.
Yeah,
and because it's like the internet is supposed to be the Wild West, and to see the internet trying to become TV is like hell. It's like the best thing about the internet was that it was not TV, and so to see them trying to become TV makes my belly hurt. And also, but do I get it? Of course, they have advertising dollars. I think you could balance it better, though. I don't think they're very competent. I think there is a way to make it work. They just don't want to. It's probably laziness mixed with just not giving a shit. I mean, you got to understand the people that are running these things have never drawn a picture. They've never now that's like Foley, but basically the people that run this stuff and they're making decisions have never drawn like Peter Griffin on paper or have like tried to play a song on they literally they're like aliens. They're like robots. They don't get it. And please continue to to come at their doorstep and force them, continue twisting these people's arms. It's a good thing. It's great to see.
Well, Sheeb's got one that we've talked about a few times in other episodes. And Sheeb, by the way, collaborates with Jonas on a channel. So they're intertwined in that way. What's a good approach for an animator to stand out in a sea of content? And again, we've talked about that with music, with videos, with everything. Everybody's making a lot of stuff. How do you stand out on the animation side?
Michael, that's you. Michael,
I think like try to just all this kind of the answers to these questions always sound lame, but it really is just true. Like if you're like a little if you're from Australia, you're from a little town, maybe don't make like parody videos about like video games because you're seeing them online. Like just draw about like what's around you, your life. Like everyone's got comes from a unique kind of place. I'd say like be inspired by like the reality that's around you, because you may think it's boring, but guaranteed it's very strange probably to everyone else. So I would lean into more personal things rather than kind of following trends. I think is a trick to making like a good, I guess, media, like a piece of media, like a cartoon or like even like a film or something. It's the same kind of principles, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
That seems like pretty good advice. And we've talked about that too, where you've got to have the confidence to believe that other people will find your boring shit interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Just because it's lame and mundane and boring and that everyday stuff that you mentioned, it's not that to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
It's unique and interesting to everybody else. And you've got to have confidence to believe that that's true. I think that is awesome advice.
Yeah. And yeah.
Bradlander.
I'm sorry. I know we're in a thing.
Oh, no. Go on.
I was just going to think, I think it's there's, again, 100 years ago, if you're writing a book, there's a lot of books that have been written, but there were not television shows and films and things like that. So it's a very interesting, I think about, I'll make it quick, but if 50 or 100 years, if you're making art, you're going to have two big problems, which would basically be, what do you do when everything's been done ever? We're literally, because you not only have a million TV shows because it's the amount of TV shows plus time, it's just time. It's exponential. Eventually, everything will be created, and somebody will go, "Well, I saw that exact idea. How long does that take?" But anyways, to make yourself stand out, I just think if you're trying to make stuff go viral, very rarely will it actually. You have to make what your vision is, not what you think people will like. Because people always say, make stuff for yourself. And I don't think that's true, because you're not making stuff for yourself. You're, of course, making stuff to entertain. You want people to go, like, that was amazing. You'd feel horrible if you only made movies for one person, which is you. But I think the right way to think of it is make stuff for people that are like you. So make something that a younger version of yourself would have loved. Like Michael and I would always talk about, being in like middle school and finding like Family Guy or South Park or something, that and just being totally infatuated by something making you laugh and kind of blowing your mind. So to us, it was like, well, we find these types of things funny, but it's also not super derivative in that sense. Like, it's things that we tend to find funny, but also, we know for a fact our 15-year-old selves would have liked the show. That was the goal at least. So make something not for yourself, but make something. Don't try to copy anybody else. Try to be original as much as possible. Everything will be derivative in some way, but try to have your voice and try to make stuff for people like you. That you're not. That if you see a void, that you're not seeing people hit a certain funny bone or a niche or whatever. It doesn't have to be comedy. Try to do your best to make somebody like you enjoy it and hit that niche.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we've got the penultimate here. We've survived. Bradlander asked about all the massive body of work that the both of you have, where you have just literally years of jokes and ideas, and some of them have come in already. What's one that you would love to put into an episode, but it's not going to make it because it's just too edgy?
I can think of like 20 little things like that we just would love to do, and that's usually the fun of trying to figure out how to get something that you're probably not sure if it can be in there, like how to massage it in. I think that's like a big process.
Yeah, sometimes it's like just stupid. Sometimes it is like, oh, that's a little bit the most like edgy quote unquote stuff that we want to put in is mostly stuff that we just find really funny that's like out of character. So we'll write a scene in, or we'll think of a joke where it's like it's what maybe Pim is meaner to Charlie, like Pim just goes, fuck you, Charlie, fuck you. Like, that'll make us laugh, and we'll go, oh, but you couldn't really put that in because then it would like ruin the character. So finding ways to put that weird stuff in where it's funny to us, just because Smiley Friends to us, when we're just pitching stuff, is just
chaos.
It is just the chaotic stuff. It's just like the Jeremy character. That's the shit we think of. And then, okay, well, that's so unbelievably stupid. How do you make a show that's not just that? So there was a bunch of stuff we had to cut for season 1 just for time, or it never got made in, or we couldn't find a way to massage it in. There was a character, without giving anything away, there was a character that we had for season 1 of Pim's, the guy that manages Pim's building, that we were originally going to have, who we love as a character, who we had to cut out for time. We'd swapped it with something else. So stuff like that, I think, but that's also the fun of the show, as it goes on, maybe we'll get better and better at ways to put that stuff in.
Yeah. Well, guys, I think that's the end of our patrons
wonderful.
question. So now it's time for a little housekeeping. The first bit of housekeeping is Smiling Friends is on HBO Max February 9th. So if for whatever reason you don't have TV, which I know a lot of people don't, or you don't frequent, what were some of those websites you guys mentioned?
There's billions of them.
They're all gone now. They're all got deleted.
They're all gone.
They're too illegal.
Gone.
Putlocker.ru.
Yeah.
They were up for a couple of hours before they had to take it down.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can watch it safely and legally on HBO Max February 9th. I want to thank all of our new patrons. Matt mentioned earlier, there was just a flood of new people coming into the Create Unknown. That is awesome to see because, like Matt mentioned, everything that you guys contribute to the Create Unknown goes back into it so that we can be here every single Tuesday with great guests. Coming up, we have Gabriel Brown. We're talking to I Did a Thing. We have Alternate History Hub. We have Brady Heron from Number File, all on the docket, all booked, ready, waiting, foaming at the mouth to get on the Create Unknown. So you have those guests to look forward to in the next few weeks. And I do have one final question, the biggest question, the granddaddy of them all that's left for you guys. And this comes from Donk, but it really comes from everyone who loves and watches Smiling Friends. And that is, where's season 2? How long we got to wait?
We're working on it.
We're season 2, guys. Come on.
We're working on it.
We're drawing it.
No, look. We'll say this. Because we like being coy, because, things change. But here's the deal. We do not want, if we get to make more, if they're so kind to let us make more, we do not want a gigantic, unbelievable gap every 2 years between 8 11-minute episodes. We think about, we're brainstorming the show every day. We've had a lot of ideas that didn't go into season 1, they're going to go into season 2 if we get to make it. And I'm sure there'll be I'm sure people will know one way or the other.
Yeah.
At some point. But in the meantime, you know what? If you want season 2, the best thing you could do, if you watched it on Kiss Cartoon and Gorilla Vid and Vimeo, Shrimp's Odyssey Part 1, Part 2, Part 3, Part 4, Part 5, Part 6, if you watch those all on YouTube in 1-minute pieces, totally fine. We get it. I just recently rewatched The Social Network on 123movies.com. But anyway,
you really shouldn't be saying that, Zach.
No, I really shouldn't. They could sue my ass off. But anyways, if you want the show to continue, go to HBO Max, watch it with your friends, watch it with your family, get people to watch it in there. That's a direct way that they can see the show is being watched.
Also, just keep watching it. Just watch it over and over and over. Just keep binging it.
Even if you feel sick, even if you have a bellyache,
even if you don't even like it anymore, just keep watching it.
Even if you're saying, my body's rejecting. I'm getting a gag reflex when I see the characters that keep watching. Doesn't matter. Next episode. Doesn't matter. Next episode.
Well, it sounds like all the memes are helping. All the fan art is helping. Maybe we can somehow get some talented people to make some animations from, I don't know, like the Dan Aykroyd bit that we just went through this evening. Maybe some of the other
Can somebody animate the whole podcast like a Disney cartoon in 1 month, please?
Animate me in a box like floating in the sky. It'll explain my microphone quality. I'm just like floating around.
Michael's in a bowl.
What's that voice? Where's that coming from? He's in a bowl up there.
He's in a bowl, boss.
He's in a bowl. He's inside that bowl. I see him up there. Hello. What are you doing down there? That's the dumbest shit ever.
That could be an episode right there.
That's just how the magic happens right there.
It is. Well, it's been magical. Smiling Friends is amazing. It lived up to the hype and more. I loved it. I've watched the whole thing twice. I'll watch it 1,000 more times if it gets a season 2 made. Michael, Zach, thank you so much for coming back into the Create Unknown and joining us. And we are all so excited about the success and the how everything has come together. So, I mean, you did it. You did it. What else could I say? It's great, guys. You friggin' did it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having
really
us
appreciate
on.
it.
Yeah, you guys both had Michael and I separately leading up. You saw the whole
crazy adventure.
So thank you guys for
That's right.
being there for the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go rest my face for 48 hours because it is in literal
my body
pain.
hurts.
Yeah,
I am going to take a leave and Tylenol. I'm not kidding. Like my midsection.
I'm just gonna have a nap. I think I'm gonna have a little sleep.
All right, guys, we're out here. Thank you so much to everybody who was lurking and joining and listening in. And again, thanks to the new patrons. We'll be back next Tuesday with Gabriel Brown. Until then, see you, Space Cowboys.
Thanks for listening to The Create Unknown. We make this show with the support of our patrons. 100% goes directly to keeping episodes going every week. Thank you to the Tots and Dumpster crew who save tiny little lives every month. And thank you to our grizzled, battle-hardened child infantry. Jen Mafasanti, Kevin Menard, Mikhail Steinke, Risebread, Sean Malone, Triple Question Mark, Ryan, Kamikaze, Maria, Marco, Sheep, Tom Videogre, Jelksies, and Dan the Latch. And a tremendous shout out to our elite baby gang commanders. Linus and Trev's Dead, Boromir, Bot Dogs, Chinchilla, Isaac, Conrad, James, Andrew, Jeff Davis, Patrick Pister, Baseweight, Monahim, Dojangles, and Zero. Again, you are the elite. Thank you as well to our indentured servants, producer, editor Ben Webster, and producer Dan Yosua. And thanks to Baseweight for use of the Created in the Unknown song for our opening theme, and to Electro Voice for giving us mics to sound good on top of it. The Create Unknown is an Unknown Media production in partnership with Studio 71.